That was okay.
Lackluster at
Mine was
best.
really, really high pitched. No, mine's was far from lackluster. I feel like Jack's was lacking in the luster department there.
Do you want me to try again? I mean, I can do it again right here, right now.
You do it again, but just you, and then like we'll just isolate that part and have a sound bite of you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to count you
Pressure's
down
on,
again?
Jack.
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right. So again, after 1, 3, 2, 1.
Woo!
Slightly better, but you sounded
That was...
like a sexually frustrated wolf. We'll take it.
Burn.
We'll take it.
I'd rather like take it as I sounded like Ric Flair.
Yeah, or Ric Flair. Yeah, you could do that. I mean,
Whatever floats your
At
boat.
least that's a bit more dignified.
Whatever makes you feel better.
Is it really dignified to be? Is Ric Flair like dignified?
Not really.
You know, I think anyone who runs about in like that little clothing isn't really dignified.
Oh, should we like introduce ourselves and say what episode it is?
I'm just assuming all of this is going to get cut, but then again, if we
okay.
cut all of our pointless conversations,
We'd have no
about
podcast.
10 minutes of podcast per episode.
Exactly.
Not,
pretty
not
much,
even.
pretty
You're
much,
being
yeah.
very
All right,
generous
so,
with that number.
Welcome back. This is... Yes.
This is
Yeah.
Very, very, very
Come on,
generous.
you
Well,
can do it.
You know, I got sidetracked. Okay, welcome back. This is episode 17 of the Chatroom podcast. With this episode, we have me, Michael, or Mikey, I guess, but the other Michael isn't with us, so I guess I'm Michael Prime. So, and sorry, I got sidetracked again. But yeah, and if the other two would like to introduce themselves again,
I'm
not
Jasper.
interrupt me.
I'll just
I'm
speak
Jack.
over you.
I'm a ghost apparently.
You're a spooky ghost.
Right.
Too spooky.
So, yeah, too spooky. Which
It's
coincidentally,
Halloween
this is
recently, so
technically the Halloween
totally.
edition.
Yeah, no, this is technically the Halloween podcast.
Our second Halloween podcast. That's slightly
did we do a
late.
first one? I don't
cares?
remember.
Wait, did we do it?
I don't know.
we
That's
did.
why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah, we
I
did.
remember
Because I remember Jack called it I think it was Jack called it the Too Spooky edition.
Too spoopy. It was like no,
Spoopy.
you'd call it too spoopy or too spoopy or something like that.
I don't know, but it's listed on YouTube as
Too spoopy.
episode
Yeah.
30. Oh no, it was 11 months ago, not 12. I guess it would have been just before Halloween that we were. I don't know.
I'll check the upload date.
We probably
Let's
took
just
a while.
assume that this was. Let's just assume that this was deliberate, and that we totally planned this as a sequel to our Too Spoopy edition.
Is it
So
now
this would
three
make it the Three
spoopy?
Spoopy?
Or
3 Spoopy edition.
or
There
are we gonna
go.
double it immediately? Double it like 4 spoopy.
Are we gonna what?
Double it. Instead of 2 spoopy, go to 4 spoopy.
4 Spoopy, double the Spoopy.
Double the fun.
It's
Double the everything.
double the Spoopy, double the fun, double the really pointless discussions, and I'm really hoping this is all getting cut.
I don't
Because
think it's
if
getting
not-
cut.
People are so entertained right now. Like
I know, right?
You know, I can just hear everyone who's watching this, all the
I
three
can
people watching this, just go.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh yes, finally, they're back."
I can just hear. Yeah, I can hear them clicking the subscribe button. You know, like that's just how quality this content is. Because you know we're totally not rusty at all.
Absolutely not.
Totally.
We can sense the future. We have that ability.
Yeah. I mean, the three of us were like the stainless steel of podcasts. We never get rusted. At least I don't think stainless steel rusts.
It shouldn't
I could be
normally. I mean, I think it's designed to not rust, but you know.
Titanium doesn't rust.
All right, then that's quite an
We
upgrade,
are-
going from steel to titanium. All right.
We're the Titanium Podcast. We should. There we go. I just renamed us. That's it. Rebrand. We need to make a new YouTube channel.
The titanium
that ain't
podcast.
happening.
Or when it's just the three of us, the Titanium Trio.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just thought of that on the spot. I should do this as a job. Just make up names because, you know.
Because you're talented
Pay
at
for
it.
that. Someone else please talk because I'm running out of content.
Right.
All right,
okay.
what have you been up to, Mike?
Ca-
How's your life been in these couple of... since the last podcast, which has been like, what, 4, 5, 6 months ago? I don't know.
2 months.
Oh, that's not too bad.
But
I thought it was worse.
yeah.
That's not bad.
I mean, like normally you would hope for like at least one a week, but you know.
But
yeah,
that's
one
with
every 2 months is fine.
with the people who don't know what they're doing, right? The people, the professionals who know what they're doing. They,
yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
2 months
you
is
only
just...
you only have to put out. You only have to put out, you know, one a week if you're bad.
I mean, people can listen to our
that's-
podcast again and again, and it'll still be funny. So why give them more stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're waiting 2 months for like comedy gold, and like
The ecstasy will be so much better when you finally get to hear this long-awaited podcast that you've been waiting for. You're like, oh yes, fantastic, my life has meaning again. That's quality. That's how you know it's quality.
yeah. We're saving lives at this very moment.
There's a kid who's
That's what we're
contemplating suicide, and he listens to this and he's like, damn, I got a reason to live. I just gotta wait until the next fucking episode, and we saved this kid's life for 2
Yeah.
months. You're welcome, society.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
fuck you, but you're
That's
welcome.
that's why we take so long to produce another episode, because like they're like I have to wait until the next episode, and then if we never put out another episode, then you know they live a nice, long, fulfilling life.
Well, I wouldn't be so
That
sure about
we-
the fulfilling part, but at least they'll live long.
Yeah, sure, until they get hit by a bus crossing the street, but that's besides the point.
I got very
In answer
specific
to the
very
question,
fast.
in answer to your question, before we got a little off track, my life has not been interesting at all since we recorded 2 months ago.
You're supposed
So,
to bring the content, Mikey. God damn it.
Ah, shit, yeah. I mean, you know, I've been doing like so many interesting stuff over the last
Yeah.
couple of months.
Fucking all them
you know,
bitches going to all them
travel.
college parties and stuff. You know, the usual.
Yeah, just so many crazy college parties, like, you know, just doing like crazy shit, like doing like coke off like a stripper's like ass crack, and like
Blackjack and
Now
Like
waking
mad-
up with pink eye and stuff.
yeah,
you know.
mad booze. Ah, yeah, it's the worst, you know. STDs at the butthole, literally.
Literally, yeah.
You know, I've also been attending about 40% of my classes. Probably
pretty
gonna fail
fucking
most
good.
of them, but I feel like it outweighs. I feel like the good outweighs the bad. So
You know, the college experience, it's just way more important than your classes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, who goes there for a degree and for a job? You know,
Degrees.
that's not what it's about.
That's just a piece of paper. You don't need
Jobs.
that to find a job.
Yeah, I don't need a
the
degree
parties.
to you know, I don't need the degree to create an award-winning podcast. I can't do that anyway.
Maybe we're
How about you? How
just
about you
so
guys?
clever. You know, playing some games, doing some schoolwork, procrastinating like fuck because, you know, that's who I am. The usual stuff. Maybe the occasional getting a little bit drunk or
Yeah, I
a
think
little bit
that's-
high, and then it's all right. That's my life.
All right.
Good
Sounds
to get a
pretty-
little high, but your friends.
That's the way I put it like that sounds really fucking interesting, I have to say. That's my life
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's when you like say it out loud. It either sounds really, really sad, or it makes you sound cooler than you are.
With most people,
But,
it probably makes you sound very, very sad. if you can just
But
summarize.
for you, you're just.
I know, but I don't go
you
to
live
college
such an awesome
parties
life,
and
they
do
just make
cocaine
you
off
sound so-
strippers' ass. I don't have that kind of life.
Well, I mean, not everyone.
Not everyone
can be
is
like
a
me,
party monster like you. Not everyone.
But if you subscribe to this podcast, you can listen to me. All right,
Mikey's all of a sudden the most interesting man in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm actually
Whether
that black
it's
guy
true
from
or not,
the
that
Old
remains to be
Spice
seen.
adverts.
But man, Old Spice. That's some
Anyway,
pretty good commercial.
What I've been doing.
Yeah,
sorry.
Tell
Jack.
us,
When
what
was
have
the
you
last
been
time I
doing?
was on the podcast? Actually,
I have no clue.
it's
I-
probably
I
been
mean-
a year at least,
It might
if
be.
not
up to-
about 6 to 8 months.
I just
You
don't
weren't
remember
on
any
14.
podcasts, so-
I'm
I was on 14 and 13. No, I wasn't on 15 and 14.
okay. So I think you're in the last one. I'm not sure.
Well, the Totally Season 2 edition.
Yeah.
I don't think it
weren't you?
was.
No, actually, you're right. I don't think you were. I think maybe 12 or something.
12. Well, I
12
can't.
or
Right,
13
whoever
then.
whoever uploaded the videos never decided to put whoever's in the podcast in the freaking description, so I can't
That's
just
Ah.
visually
No,
check.
that's not my fault. I
anyway-
usually
Well,
put it in there.
Before I
Doesn't
get
matter.
off
So-
track, I've been failing at uni, then changing my course on uni, then
as is tradition.
being alright at uni, despite being a quote-unquote party animal.
What is it that you
Yeah.
do actually at uni now?
Fuck bitches, get money. I'm assuming.
Yeah, as my degree is in fuck bitches get money.
That sounds like a pretty
I'm-
fucking sweet degree, man. I would sign up for that
yeah,
any day.
can I transfer? I totally want to do a degree in that.
Like, the degree and all the projects all have stuff to do with blackjack and hookers.
Is that it? Just blackjack? Like, what about other gambling? Like, is there poker,
Nah,
roulette,
it's just blackjack and hookers.
escort?
24/7.
Is there trips to Vegas and
Oh yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Man,
Where-
that's
where-
pretty sweet.
That's I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. But I'm poor as fuck, and I don't think that's a
Yeah.
cheap way to do college.
The funny thing is, Jack's actual course is full of nerds. So
I'm doing computing.
the
And what
contrast
does
there is
that-
actually quite humorous.
Yeah, I can imagine. Guy, maybe a girl. We're not sure.
There's
Guy,
actually
guy,
quite a few
guy,
girls in
guy.
the class.
Is there?
Yeah, well,
Well, then again, I mean,
considering my
it's-
classes are all mixed up with different subjects, I have at least 4 different courses inside my classes.
I see. But I do
So
not
what you're saying
understand.
is you're rolling in that poontang.
Yes. That's exactly
Lots
what
of
I'm saying.
references to females in this podcast. I have a feeling that this is not very Halloween related. It's almost as if Halloween has passed when we're recording this.
Yeah,
And
almost.
it's totally not a Halloween episode.
Hmm.
So you've just been uni, partying,
Gaming.
gaming, any particular games?
Master Chief Collection.
Oh,
I do not have an
nice.
Xbox One. I've been playing that at my friend's house.
Oh, you sneaky
right.
devil.
So you playing campaign or multiplayer? If they've fixed it.
Campaign, I've been co-oping with him because he has never played Halo, and he has. the
Which
Master
one?
Chief
Any of
Collection.
the Halos or just the?
He's. I think he's played one. He's played ODST, which is
Uh-huh.
the most insignificant one he's played.
I like ODST to be
That's
honest.
pretty weird.
ODST was cool. Fuck it, I'll say it.
the
ODST was
ODST's
good.
alright.
ODST is a pretty good game, right? It's just
fucking
in terms
good.
of the story, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, but it is kind of cool, You're not
Yeah, it's
fucking.
nice to know what happened on New Mombasa.
And we get to see some Nathan Fillion.
yeah,
I
I mean-
wouldn't say no to that at all.
That too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would say no to Nathan Fillion.
Speaking of Nathan
know.
Fillion, Halo 5.
He is.
Yeah, I was actually about to say
it's
that
the same character, right?
ODST is actually kind of relevant. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah,
Is it?
I mean, the same character is now like a Spartan, and he's like part of the group of Locke that's trying to hunt down the Master Chief. But I haven't
Fire
seen
Team Osiris.
right. I haven't seen a lot of Halo 5 to be honest. I think it was today or yesterday that it suddenly dawned upon me like that's actually out. I didn't even realize that. So I should probably check it out.
I'm the same.
I haven't even finished like the Master Chief collection, so I mean, why start at Halo 5 now?
I haven't even played the Master Chief Collection.
Halo 2 Anniversary, can I just say, looks fucking amazing.
Fucking
the cutscenes are
amazing.
so good.
I've seen like bits of the cutscenes, and they do look pretty good.
They are amazing. They put in a lot of goddamn work to make them the way they are, because they are fucking.
Well, now I'm really jealous.
fantastic.
I don't have a next gen console.
I don't have one either. I'm basically leeching off our friend.
Well, yeah, but okay. I don't have access to a next gen console.
Right, okay.
No, maybe you should make some more friends that have a next gen console. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe or buy one.
I can't.
Those are the two options.
I'm so tempted, but like I think the next console I'm gonna buy is a Wii U, and then it's gonna be an Xbox One. Just because a Wii U's cheaper, and like as much games as there are for the Xbox One that I want to play, I'd still rather get a Wii U first.
I think that Nintendo always had like a very small lineup, but they're always quality games no matter what. There might be if there are games that I want to play on a Wii U, so for those 5 to 10 games that I actually want to play on it, I might eventually consider buying a Wii U if it's cheap enough. So I get it if you're like, I just want to, play a little bit of games and party games. If you wanna go out of town, or if you want to go have a little bit of a drink downtown, you say like, you know what, drinks downtown, they're pretty expensive. Come to my place, we'll buy some cheap ass booze, we'll get drunk beforehand, play some games, and then go downtown. Wii U is not a bad thing to have.
Also, the Wii U is also cheaper, like quite a bit cheaper in comparison to the PS4 and Xbox One, which
how much is it now?
Why it's so appealing to me.
How much is it now?
It's like, I think for the base model, it's like £250 or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
£250.
For a 32 gig Wii U with Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon, it's £242.86.
Oh, okay.
So for all intents and purposes, it's £250. Right now, the Xbox One and the PS4 are roughly like 300.
400.
Nope, 300.
300.
And that's no games.
Yeah.
With the Xbox One or PS4.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it would be like
maybe bundle if you
at least.
No, it's not too bad.
Yeah,
not too bad. You get 2 games and a console. That's nice.
You get one game for £300 on Amazon.
Alright.
But if you just get the console itself, it's like £270.
Huh.
But I mean, if you just buy the console, you're gonna buy a game with it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
So I mean, like that's
£300.
Well, why would you not? Unless you're gonna use it as a Blu-ray player, I suppose.
No, but you can if you have like an Xbox 360, right? Let's just assume that you can play your old Xbox 360 games on it, and if you have Xbox Live Gold, you could buy it and play the free games that you get. Those are the options. So you don't have to buy a game.
But in general, if you buy an Xbox One, you're gonna want to get at least one game with it.
Yeah, at least.
But and it's so annoying because I'm like, I want a Wii U. I want there's like 4 or 5 games that I definitely want for the Wii U. And then I want an Xbox One, and there's like at least half a dozen games I want for the Xbox One. but I also want to save up for RTX next year.
Yeah, I'm
So-
in a position right now where if I don't spend my money wisely, I'm probably not gonna make it. So
Yeah, same.
I still
And
have
we
some
need
money.
you to make it, both of you.
Yeah, I know. I definitely want to make it, and I still have some money saved up. But normally, I would probably be blowing some of that money on games. But I haven't been buying any games in the last 2 months, maybe 3 months, maybe even longer. I bought one game, but that was an expansion to an MMO, just because I knew I could blow a lot of hours onto that. So I'm probably
Right,
not
yeah,
gonna
so it's
buy
worth
any
it.
more games. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, just saving money.
I have
Yeah.
bought 2 games, and I've bought a new monitor as well. So I've got 2 monitors because I'm a massive PC gamer.
Fancy, fancy.
Oh, PC Master Race over here.
So you better watch out,
Better watch out.
fucking filthy peasants.
Anyways, what were the games that you bought?
Wait.
Wait, let me guess. One of them's Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, Metal Gear Solid 5 because I'm a major fan of the franchise, and the other game is Fallout 4.
That's not out yet, is it?
Nope.
I
10th of November.
It's
Oh, okay.
I keep forgetting that it's coming out, and like I see something on like Facebook or like an advert for it, and I'm like, oh yeah, Fallout 4 is coming out.
I'm gonna say
What?
something that might
Sorry,
rub
Jasper.
some people the wrong way. I didn't really enjoy Fallout 3. I really, really didn't enjoy it. I got the game pretty cheap. I started playing it. I got like 3 or 4 achievements in, and then I stopped. It wasn't that appealing to me. So
I'm
not
gonna say something.
so
that's-
sure about Fallout 4, to be honest.
I'm gonna say something also pretty wacky. I also didn't really like Fallout 3. I borrowed it from a friend with all the DLC. I played like 3 of the DLCs and completed the main story, and I was like, it was alright. Because I didn't really like the exploring in the game, and I wasn't really a big fan of the combat.
Yeah, the combat
So,
was what
Yeah.
I really didn't like it all that much, and I don't know why, but it really didn't. I think it was because it was rather difficult in the beginning for me to get a hold on what was going on and how it worked exactly, and probably stopped before I completely figured out how to play the game. And I was probably exploring, parts that I shouldn't have been in yet or something like that. So, probably my own fault, but
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to it, to be honest, because I have to start all over again, and no thank you. I'll just stick with what I know.
Although, like, Fallout 4 does look pretty good. But,
It does,
you know,
but
It does
whether
look amazing.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
like it, that's the question.
I mean, another reason why I'm not that hyped about it is because I don't have an next-gen console, so I'm not going to buy it until, like, a year from now anyway, so...
Well, I've never been like a massive fan of the Fallout franchise. I got into it really goddamn late. Like I didn't get Fallout 3 or New Vegas until like maybe last year. So I bought them, I played through them both because everybody fucking hyped the shit out of them. They're alright, although New Vegas frustrated me because how fucking buggy it was. Even with unofficial patches and shit.
Right.
But I still enjoyed them.
I mean, I'm
I
not
think I'm
saying
one
they're
of-
bad games, but they're just not my cup of tea, to be honest.
Yeah,
And I have
mean,
to.
I think I'm one of the very few...
I have to give credit due to where it's due, is that their announcement of Fallout 4 was really well done. And
Yeah.
the fact that they were like, all right, Fallout 4 is going to be out this year. I think they had a lovely trailer for it. They said, all right, we've got Fallout Shelter for mobile devices. It's ready to go. You can pick it up right now, just to get people hyped for the game, because even the title itself, Fallout 4, if that wasn't enough hype, you had a official Fallout game that you could play, Fallout Shelter, which a lot of people
Yeah.
liked. So They did it really well.
That's all right.
It's Fallout. People go crazy over Fallout, but I like the way
Yeah.
that they did it. I like that they went, all right, we're gonna make an announcement, and the game's gonna be ready in about 6 months, something like that. And here's another game to keep you occupied until then. That was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, like, I hate like some things like where they have to try and keep like a massive hype train going for like a year and a half.
I don't get why companies
because,
try
like,
to do that.
Yeah,
It just
like
doesn't
they
work.
tease the game, like ages before it's out, and then it's just like by the time it comes out, you've kind of forgotten about it, and you're just like, oh, But
Or
yeah, like you say,
the
like,
other
with-
side is that they try to keep the hype going, and they make promises or they say things that they're gonna regret, and then people buy the game like this isn't what they
Apologize.
hyped it up to be. So
yeah. I mean, like you say, like Fallout 4, it was just like, all right, we're gonna make an announcement, and people have been like desperately waiting for Fallout 4 for years,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, Fallout 4, it's coming out, and it's gonna be out in November. Have fun, and then it's pretty well done.
I think
props
that's
to Bethesda.
I think it's better to do it that way. That people, you have people's attention, gamers' attention, for maybe 6 months, maybe a year. But if you go like, in 2 years we're gonna release a super awesome game, people will care maybe for the next 6 months, maybe next year, and then people are not gonna give a shit because it's just it's far away. People don't care for that. If you say, here's the
Yeah.
game, this is how it looks, it's gonna be out in 6 months, people will be very happy about that because they know that 6 months is relatively close, especially in game time for game durations. Normally
Yeah.
it's like a year and a half, and suddenly bam, 6 months. People are happy about that.
yeah.
Can I counter this argument?
You can.
You can. Yeah.
Right. I
No,
bought
no, you
another
can't,
game.
actually. Fuck off.
Fuck you, man. I bought another game, Metal Gear Solid 5. That was first teased in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the hype train was still
That's-
going for that. I mean, pretty fucking goddamn strong.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, I suppose I guess it'll happen.
I mean, we did get a
Wait,
game in
but-
2014 to tide over people, and then the actual game came out in 2015. But
It wouldn't have been solid for 3 years. though.
Yeah.
no, it
like-
was.
Because to be
I-
honest,
Was it?
You
no.
should have seen it. You should have seen it.
Maybe in the fandom, for Metal Gear, because I didn't know Metal Gear
The
5
fan
was a
base. Let's
yeah.
not resort. Let's
all
not
right,
stoop
the
down
fan
to
base,
Tumblr's
the fan
levels.
base. I didn't know Metal Gear 5 was going to be a thing until like 6 months, maybe a year ago. I didn't know that it was announced in 2012, and I haven't been hyped for like 3 years. But Fallout, I know that. I mean,
I think it's because Metal Gear Solid is like more of a, I don't want to say a niche, but like it has more of a hardcore following, whereas
yeah.
Fallout is more broad, and like
Yeah.
that's why like
But
that's the
I
difference.
think-
Like they're able to keep a hype train going for so long because they know that the fan base is so invested in the franchise, whereas Fallout might be different. I don't know.
could be. I think a thing that's also very important to know is that Fallout is made by a studio, so to say, and Metal Gear has always been Kojima. It's not people, they associate Metal Gear with a person, and Fallout they associate it with the actual complete studio. So that might be because everything that has to do
No,
with
I feel that Fallout's associated with Todd Howard.
Yes and no. I kind of agree with both of you there.
I don't know who Todd Howard is, so I'm
Head
not a
of Bethesda.
specialist. Oh right.
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm
a.
gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with both of you, but like generally, like when I think of like Fallout or any Bethesda game, I just think Bethesda. But
Right,
whereas
true.
like
Metal Gear has always been Kojima.
Metal Gear Solid, yeah, like I would think of that like first. But that just might be like how Jasper and I are, and it's different for other people.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But I think that whenever something comes up with Kojima, it always goes back to the Metal Gear series. So the whole thing, the PT and Silent Hills teaser thing, that was also Kojima, and I think that indirectly caused a little bit of hype for Metal Gear 5, maybe. Might be a weird thing to say, but I think because he's still actively making games, that people are getting hyped for the game, while Bethesda being a corporation, they have less of this inclination of going like, oh yeah, they're still doing what they're doing. That's how I perceive it. Every time I see Kojima, I think about Metal Gear, and whenever something goes wrong with the problems with Konami and stuff,
Yeah.
that might keep a little bit of hype going on, because if it's not coming, if it's not in the news, people tend to forget about it. If you announce a game and then you're silent for a year, completely silent, nobody's going to remember it. But even if you don't say anything about the game, but you as a developer still get some attention, even if it is for other games, I think that's still pretty important. That happens, that it'll keep the hype going, even though it's just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive, like, that they managed to keep the hype for Metal Gear Solid 5 for going for so long. I think it's unnecessary.
What's to be honest, what's even more impressive is that they didn't fuck it up.
Well, to be fair, right, the main reason the hype was going was because the game is meant to, like, close the series. It's meant to round out all the plot. It's meant to, like...
does it?
Yeah, it pretty much does.
Because I'm not knowledgeable about Metal Gear, but isn't it 5 is not the last one chronologically, right? Or
It's
is
not
it
the
at
last
the
one
end?
chronologically, but it fills a gap in the timeline.
Right, it's not the end.
No,
game.
the end is Metal Gear Solid 4.
All right, okay.
That is the end all of everything, right? Metal Gear Solid 4 is the very last game chronologically.
Okay.
Right, so, okay, but Metal Gear Solid 5 goes back and fills in some plot points or something, I guess?
Yeah,
then?
there's like
Am I getting that
there's
right?
like a 20-year gap in the middle.
That's quite big.
Quite a gap.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't even call that a gap. I would call that a canyon or something. That's not a gap.
yeah, like
it's-
the last major game before Metal Gear Solid 5 was Peace Walker, and that was set in 1974. The game is set. Metal Gear Solid 5 is set in 1984. And
okay.
burns out everything, and then Metal Gear 1's 1995, and blah 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 blah.
Ah, okay, right. Game
Makes
timelines,
perfect
why are
sense.
you so funny?
Chronological confusion.
I'm sure it makes perfect sense to those people that have played Metal Gear Solid, aka
people in the know.
Jack.
Yeah, but not every time.
No, that's
is like
Rooster
that.
Teeth Jack. We can't say that.
Sharp Sarge.
It wasn't that funny. So yeah, look at us. We're like talking about video games like actual like video game people that know what we're talking about.
Holy shit. We actually might be a podcast.
We know
Well,
some stuff,
Jack,
alright? Don't...
Let's not get ahead of ourselves there. we're kind of coming up to just below mediocre, I'm assuming. But
That's
if
being
I were to
generous,
rate
Mikey.
this podcast, I would give it 10 out of 10. Yeah, subscribe now.
Reiterate, mate.
Yeah. So I take it like you've just been playing Metal Gear Solid, and what was the other game you bought?
Fallout 4.
Fallout 4.
But that's
okay.
not out
You haven't
yet.
been playing that because it's not out yet. So, any other games?
I've been playing, like I said, Master Chief Collection. Completed the first Halo on Heroic. Now going for the second one on Heroic and severely doubting it.
Why
Really
Heroic? Why not
doubting it?
Legendary? Don't be a pansy.
Because my friend in question has never played the game before.
So, I mean, you're playing on
So?
co-op, so like that doesn't.
No, right. Halo 2 is notorious for having a really difficult fucking difficulty curve or whatever it is, learning curve. It's like fucking. It is really goddamn difficult.
That's
like
alright.
everything you employed in the first game, you cannot employ in the second game. You get wrecked if you employ anything you had in the first game.
Well,
That's
kinda
maybe
true.
where I had an advantage because I never played the first game. Like the second one was the first one I played. I think I've said this before in a podcast, but yeah, just I don't know, just play on Legendary. I mean, like as long as you're not playing with iron on, you should be fine. Just
Fuck
both
skulls,
of you
though.
just don't die at the same time.
It's really not that hard.
Or
it's way
if you
harder
really don't want to
solo
be a
Legendary.
bitch, Legendary all skulls on.
Dude, if you can
Funnily
do that,
enough, he has my friend has challenged me to go through the entire game doing Legendary All Skulls on.
It's impossible. It is not possible. It takes
Well,
about
there's achievements for it on the Master Chief Collection.
it takes about 6 clips to take an elite's shield off. It's just not possible. Like
I did
don't
say
see
to him
how
it would
you
take
can
me
do
about
it.
5 years.
Unless you did like speedrunner tactics and just run through everything,
Yeah.
that would be possible.
you get wrecked. If you run in Halo, you get fucking wrecked real quickly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not in the
on
first one.
Legendary, on Legendary, the enemies don't fuck around. They just aim for your head,
and then all skulls on, you're just dead.
You're dead. You're just dead.
Alright, true.
I thought Legendary solo Halo 2 was hard enough. I'm not gonna try all skulls on. Screw that. I'm not crazy. I mean,
I
not
can't
that
believe
crazy.
you even managed to do that.
Dude,
I
it,
think-
it was fucking hell. I mean, the worst thing,
Yeah, I can imagine.
I played Halo 4 Legendary solo first
I did that as
because there was an achievement for it. And I thought, because the achievement list for the Master Chief Collection is really fucking long. And I was like, I'm not going to sift through it. So I thought, there's probably going to be an achievement for doing each campaign solo Legendary. So I did that for Halo 2. Turns out, there's no achievement for solo Legendary. So I kind of bought myself for that.
Oh man.
I never would have done that if I knew that there was no achievement. I thought, well, I mean, 30, 50 game score extra, I mean, I'd do it for that, but alas, it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't the case. That was pretty shitty. I mean, you know the feeling that when you're like, "Oh, yes, I'm going to get what," and then it suddenly hits you like, "Wait, am I not getting it? Did I do something
Yeah,
wrong?"
like-
And then you scroll through it and like, "What? There is no achievement? What? Why? I spent my life
Like the end credits are rolling. The end credits are rolling. You're just like, any minute now, it's gonna pop.
Come on.
It's gonna pop any minute now. And then it gets back to the title screen, and then you wait, and then you're just like, okay. 5 minutes go past, and you're just like,
You're crying.
there's no achievement for this, or I didn't get the achievement.
What's even worse is I bought the Master Chief Collection when it first came out, launch, or the day after launch, whatever. And I played through Halo 4 on Legendary Solo first. Completely solo, didn't get the achievement at the end. It completely
Oh
ruined
man.
my
Wow.
appetite for the game. It was fucking bugged. And I was like, fuck me. I
That
stopped playing the
is
game for
shit.
over a year. And then
That is pretty shit.
Was your Xbox
Then-
offline at any point?
no, I don't think
Right.
so.
Okay, because I've had the problem where when we were playing Halo 1, we did like 3 missions offline and then the rest of the campaign online. No, 3 missions offline, the rest of the campaign online, and the achievements for those 3 missions never popped and we had to do those missions again.
That sucks. I
But
don't
yours
think
sucks
I was...
even harder.
Yeah, but it threw me off the game completely. And then eventually I came back to it because I wanted to do Halo 2. I think the first thing I did was I was like pretty bummed, but then I went to Halo 2 immediately because I thought I can do this with a couple of skulls, including the Scarab Skull. So I played it with the Scarab Skull, and then I'm like, I don't get any achievements for completing levels. I was going for the skulls and the dolls and shit, for the achievements, but I didn't get the achievements for the levels themselves. I'm like, am I missing something? Is it still, am I doing something wrong? So then I went online and I looked that up. Apparently, you don't get credit for the missions when you do them with the Scarab Skull on.
Ah, right, yeah.
So I was double boned. So I was like, fuck this game. Fuck it. Yeah. And then I didn't play it for a year. I came back and I wanted to play, like Halo 2, but do it legit this time. Because I was like, the last mission when I actually started noticing it, because I did get achievement, but for other stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it legit now. And as soon as I started, I get the achievement for doing legendary solo for Halo 4. I'm like, took me about a fucking year to get that one. Thanks. Real fucking great. It was so stupid. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah. Bugged achievements are the worst. But like, speaking of like legendary Halo 4, like I did this stupid thing of playing it on normal first and then solo legendary.
Oh, that's what I did.
Ooh.
When I moved on to solo legendary, like all the missions were like so fresh, and like I had already got bored of them when I'd completed them the first time. So doing them on legendary was just the worst thing ever. And like, I don't think I've ever enjoyed the campaign of a game less than when I replayed the Halo 4 campaign on legendary. Because it wasn't even like, I'm pretty sure I went straight from, okay, I completed it on normal, straight into legendary. Just all over again.
Yeah, that's...
And it was just it was painful. That's the way to describe it.
The problem is, I think, what makes Halo even worse in that regard is when you play something like Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever, the enemies still die pretty easily. They're just very accurate, and there's a lot of them. In Halo, you have the fucking elites and the knights, and you have to fucking get their shields down, or you have to assassinate them, and it's not fun. And basically, there's only one viable way to play Halo, and that's with a plasma pistol and any precision weapon.
Yeah.
Pistol, DMR, battle rifle,
definitely.
Doesn't matter. Just pop their shields, headshot, and that's it. If you're not doing that, then you're pretty much fucked. Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, the knights are the worst. Like, especially if you don't have a plasma pistol, you get their shield down, and then they fucking teleport away as soon as you get their shields down,
and they get their shield back
before you find them. Yeah. Like, it takes so long to find them. It's... Oh, no. You're bringing back bad memories, Jasper.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
So I'm just looking at my achievements for Halo 4 just to see how long it took me to go from normal to solo legendary. 12 days.
Not too bad.
That's not too bad. Almost 2 weeks.
I think I got the game like almost on release, so that was pretty fast turnover.
Yeah, I can't remember when I got Halo 4. I think I got it round about launch, but I'm not entirely sure. I didn't enjoy the Halo 4's campaign like that. I would say my favorite
It's not as good as the others.
It was pretty short. I mean, it was a very short amount of time to tell a pretty not okay story. Yeah. Because that's a problem.
I've heard Halo 5 is really short as well.
Yeah, but that's the trend with most games. Most games, stories are just awful nowadays. I'm sorry to say it. There are games out there with fantastic stories, but there are many, many games where you take a look and say, especially shooters, but I bought like Heart of Thorns, like the expansion for Guild Wars 2, the MMO that I'm playing, and even that story was very shitty. I mean, it wasn't bad, but there were so many things unanswered, so many, oh yeah, we're just gonna do this and never come back here again, and the reason why we went there is totally It's nothing actually. Like, oh yeah, we might get some allies there. You get there, there's nobody there. Everyone's dead. All right, and that's it. That's the entire thing. Why you're there? There's nobody there. You kill a few people, find some information, which is like, yeah, this hasn't bugged me as much as it should have. But remember when Destiny did like, I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain? Do you guys remember that?
Wait, say that again?
I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. That's the thing that Destiny did, right?
I don't.
They
play
thought
Destiny.
they thought that was a good idea. Destiny was like, I could tell you. Another thing was like, I can tell you all this great, cool lore, but I'm not gonna. Right? Destiny was very notorious for
That sounds like pretty shitty storytelling.
It was terrible. And the game that I'm playing right now, it literally the goal is destroying like an elder dragon, like super powerful dragon, and at some point you go somewhere to see if you can find allies. Like, okay, allies, there's nobody here anymore. Then you're gonna find some information, and all the information says like, yeah, those dragons have weaknesses. That's it. That's all they give you. I'm like,
Really?
could you elaborate maybe why they have weaknesses, how they have weaknesses? How did you come to this conclusion that they have weaknesses? Really, what is the empirical evidence that you have for this statement? Nope, they just say that. And then I think two missions later, they're like, you're gonna fight the boss, the dragon, and they're like, we know that they have weaknesses. And then just before, they're like, oh yeah, we know what the weakness is. Like, when you see like in these like cop shows, whenever someone says something in such a way like, oh, now I get the epiphany, like, oh, now I know how they did it, right?
Right? Yeah.
That's what happened there. I'm like, really? That's the best you could come up with? Fuck, I could crap out stories better. It's just sad that so many games are like, yeah, we're gonna tell a okay story. They want to dazzle you with their graphics, but the story is usually fucking awful.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of like really shitty stories, I got Assassin's Creed 4 when it was free for Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And it took me until now to complete the campaign, which is an embarrassingly long time. I just went like large periods without playing it.
Yeah.
That game ended like really, really abruptly. I'm not sure if you guys have completed
I've not
it.
played
Yeah, I
4,
have.
but I don't care about the story, so you can spoil it to me all you like, but I don't know how the viewers would feel.
I'm not
They've
going
had
to spoil
plenty of
anything, but
warning.
have you played it and completed it, Jasper?
I've completed it, yeah.
Right, yeah. Did the ending like seem to just like
Happen.
come out of nowhere? I like when I got to the end, like
Are you
I
talking about
expected...
the ending like with the spirit in the computer thingy? You talking about that ending?
I'm talking about the you know how like it goes to the first person bit and then the guy like injects you with some shit? Yeah? No?
Right. Yeah, I think I
You-
remember, yeah.
Yeah, and then like he gets killed, and then the British guy from the other games is like, "Hey, thanks for helping us. Sorry about that guy going nuts, whatever, or something." And then you go back into the Animus, and like there's a little cutscene as Kenway, and then that's the end of the game.
Right.
Are we on the same page here? You know what bit I'm on about.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm gonna...
Well, there was the first person cutscene, and then I went back into the Animus, and I was like, right, I've probably got, I was like, fair enough, I'm probably getting to the end of the game, but I was like, I've probably still got like 2 or 3 hours of gameplay left. But no, that was just the end of the game, and I was just really surprised, and it just seemed like a really shitty ending. Like there was a lot of things that,
All right,
was
let's
just like,
see.
yeah.
Are you talking about like the present day thingy? right?
Well, I'm just yeah. Well, there's like a present day cutscene, and then there's there's like a Kenway cutscene.
Right.
And it's like it's like the final two cutscenes, and I was just caught off guard, like that was the end of the game, pretty much.
Right. I think I remember. I mean, I remember that when I played the game, that you have this that have you played 3 Assassin's Creed 3?
I have.
I have not played 3.
Well,
Which might be
the
like
thing is, yeah, that might be the problem,
problem,
because
but-
in 3, can I spoil it? The ending?
Spoiler
You can spoil
alert!
it for me, because yeah, spoiler alert. I probably won't ever play 3. So
Yeah, because it's not that.
I've
good.
already played
Anyway, you remember like Minerva, like the ghost thingy from the earlier
Yeah.
games? Well,
mm-hmm.
apparently in 3 they kind of tell you that there were 2 camps in how to save the world, and one of them was a chick called Juno or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
even know
Yeah, it
what
was
she
Juno.
wanted.
It was Juno.
But in the ending of 4, she's like inside Abstergo's mainframe or server or whatever. Like she's in there.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, that is sort of the ending. And I was like, what? We haven't heard from this bitch in quite a while, and suddenly she's back. And then you go back into the, into the game itself, with Kenway, and then that's it. That's the end. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
really, the ending wasn't that great. But to me, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, I don't think of that as an Assassin's Creed game, because there isn't much sneaking going on necessarily. It's just
I felt
I don't
like there
know.
was more stealth parts than like, well, like stealth as in like traditional stealth rather than like Assassin's Creed stealth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed stealth has changed from actual stealth from like the first 2 games, maybe the first 3,
Well,
if you count Brotherhood. But then it's like, just go kill everyone. Basically, that was the thing. Just try and kill everyone and do it as sneakily as possible. Just, hide somewhere in a bale of hay and then stab someone and pull it in there, and then just go kill the next guy. It wasn't that much sneaking about
The first
anymore.
one.
Now that
really-
you mention it, yeah, like I do see what you mean. Like,
It was way more open combat than
it's
sneaking and stealth.
Yeah. I like the problem, like, I accepted, like, I hadn't played 3, so, like, the stuff that was happening in the present day bit, like, I didn't understand at all. It was just, like, Kenway's story just was pretty boring,
Yeah, it
to
wasn't.
be honest. Like, even
was
the
no
whole, like,
reason-
observatory thing, like, it wasn't even that interesting.
No,
Like, it didn't
not
seem like there
really.
was that much of a threat. Like, they seemed to stop the big Templar threat pretty easily. And then Kenway's story was just over, and it was just like, okay.
And even the
That-
Templars weren't that interesting. There was no guy that you could see as this fucker is the enemy. If
it
you
was
take
just
a look at like 2, like Pope Borgia is the enemy.
The Pope.
Yeah,
It was the Pope, wasn't it?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
the
both.
Yeah.
Pope. He was the enemy.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
still the enemy in the next game, sort of, with his son and daughter. And in Revelations, you have, I don't know, that's a little bit more tricky. Revelations, that was also not that great.
Yeah, Revelations is
you-
a pretty not great game.
You fight like the last emperor of Constantinople that's been deposed by the sultans, the Turkish sultan or whatever. He's using Templars, something like that. I don't remember. And then in 3, you're back to fighting Conway, the guy that you played in the beginning. He was also the main guy, so again, that was better than Revelations. But 4 didn't have any of that, or they were not memorable enough, so I really didn't care too much.
Yeah. I just, it wasn't the best story. but I did actually like have fun while I was playing it, and then like, you know, like in the middle of playing the game, I would have given it like a 6 or a 7, but now like after I've finished it, I'd give it like a 5, 6 max.
Yeah, I'd
I
give
don't
it
know.
a 7 because I had fun playing it. I did play it till the end. There's some good stuff in there, but there's also a lot of bad stuff. The story
Like
isn't
the
my thing. And then what I really,
yeah,
really didn't like was that the combat at sea became way too repetitive way too quickly, in my opinion. It
it
was
did, but
always the
it was
same.
also to begin with, it was like really, really awesome.
It was really
And
awesome,
then
but
it just got old. Like there wasn't any variation really.
yeah, it was. And what surprised me was that, you're in the Caribbean and there's ships everywhere, fucking
Yeah,
everywhere,
just
right? I'm like, how is that there's so many ships out here? That's not how it used to
yeah.
be. I mean, it's so
Like
it
I
makes
mean,
the
I'm sure
encounter
the
less
yeah.
interesting. If you suddenly see like a
Like
warship and you
yeah.
know that 5 minutes later you're gonna see the exact same fucking warship, it's not that fucking
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I'm sure the British and Spanish armadas were, you know,
Pretty
pretty
sizable.
sizable, but not enough to
Yeah, but the
completely
sea is also
populate the
pretty sizable.
Caribbean. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's just ridiculous how many ships there are. But then again,
D-
like
They gotta play it up
maybe
for
the
dramatic sake.
yeah, I mean no, but maybe they felt it would be boring, that
Yeah.
you would only fight a ship like every, you know,
have you played the
hour of
legendary
gameplay.
ship battles? The legendary ship
I
battles?
I
Have you
have
done
I
them?
have not because I've neglected to upgrade my ship and I can't be bothered like maxing it out.
Yeah, I can understand that, but if you really want some challenging, interesting ship combat, do the legendary ships. They can be really fucking annoying, absolutely, and you're probably not going to defeat them if you don't have a fully upgraded ship, but they are way better than the ship battles you have
Right,
when
yeah,
you're
yeah.
just floating about, to say, because
Yeah.
it takes a long time to kill them. It takes a long time to damage them, and they're pretty brutal. And it's fun. It's way more challenging, and it takes longer. You feel like there's an actual battle going
Yeah.
on, not just, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just
and I
gonna
guess
go to this ship, fire a couple of times, and boom, I won.
yeah, like I guess it'd be more strategy because like my tactic was just go up, ram it, fire like heavy shot a couple of times, and then
Uh-huh.
like board it or whatever. Whereas
Yeah, you can't do that
I'm
with
assuming I'm assuming with the legendary ships like you actually like have to like dodge the shots
Yeah,
if you don't
because
want to die within like 2 seconds.
they do massive damage, and they're all different. So one of them is like a ship that will fucking ram your ass and will do major damage, while others, there's one which is two warships combined, which makes it a little bit more difficult when you're fighting two uh pretty powerful ships. And then there's another one that I think
Right,
is
yeah.
more or less invincible except when you hit it from behind or something, which I didn't really like because that's kind of a cheap way of
Yeah,
doing
it's
it.
quite
But
gamey.
Yeah, yeah.
it was interesting, and it was varied, and I liked it way more than the regular battles.
There was just another problem I had with Assassin's Creed 4 is there was just like too much stuff. Like you had
On the map, oh, Jesus, all
no,
the
not
fragments.
just because like you had the Templar contracts, I think they were called, which were like a series of missions, like
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there were a series of missions, and then there was like 4 or 5 of them or whatever, and then there was the assassination contracts. Then there was all the collectibles, all the viewpoints. Then there was the the diving bits.
Yeah.
There was the whaling bits. There was, upgrade your ship, customize your, like buy all the like fancy sails for your ship. Then there was like buy outfits for Kenway. Then like upgrade like Kenway's weapons, like how much guns you can have. And then there was like, like all the islands you could go to. Like they had like one chest and like an animus fragment.
Yeah.
Like there was just too much. Like, if
Sometimes-
anyone's 100%ed that game, like
Somebody
Yeah,
probably has,
respect.
'cause there was no
Yeah,
10
absolutely.
plus.
yes,
But-
someone definitely has. But like, yeah, major respect because that's just
To be honest, I think that's also a cheap way that developers go like, oh, we've got 50 hours of content. Yeah, we've got 5 to 10 hours of story and then 40 hours of doing collectibles. I'm sorry, that's not 50 hours of content, in my opinion. Collectibles,
Which-
I can understand that you want to use them to unlock certain stuff and, to make the game a little bit longer. But when most of your
Yeah.
game is collectibles, that's kind of not fun for the gamer.
yeah.
I feel like we've been hating on Assassin's Creed for about 15 minutes.
We
This
kind of
is
have.
not Assassin's Creed only. It's every single game
Right,
that
okay.
does it.
True,
Yeah,
collectible shit
yeah.
is like every game.
Every game
Crackdown.
does it.
Yeah, Crackdown was probably the worst for it. But that's
I
a
mean,
story
like
for
how
another
many?
time.
Like 2,000 collectibles. But I will say this in Crackdown's defense: the collectibles actually do something.
Yeah, they actually
Like there is a
upgrade you.
reason for there is a reason for actually getting the collectibles. But to kind of hate on it a little bit more, that is also a bad thing because you have to go about, you have to spend hours and hours trying to get all these collectibles so your character is actually semi-decent.
Yeah. Well, usually what I prefer is when you do collectibles is that you have to give gamers a reason to do something, to do anything in your game, right? You have to give them a little bit of incentive to go like, yeah, I'm going to go a little bit out of my way to get this collectible. Why? Upgrades, sure, but you have to be careful that you don't put, that you have a
Sixty-four.
billion, that you have a billion upgrades and that you have to get like a billion collectibles to get all those upgrades. Try not to do that. Do it for, interesting side quests or lore or whatever, but don't
Yeah,
just go
yeah.
like, we're putting them in the game and just fucking find them. I mean, I remember in Far Cry 3,
Yeah.
you had these little totem thingies because you had two main collectibles. You had the letters.
Ah shit, somebody's
then-
calling me.
Oh, poor Jack.
Right, I've got a dip. I'm sorry, I've got
Alright,
to disappear.
That's good. That's good. It's all good.
Okay, well, you're the host.
Well,
so...
I can keep the call going, but I'm
Okay,
probably gonna
right,
stop
right.
my recording.
All right, that's
so
cool.
I'll see you guys later.
Okay. Two-man podcast then. Okay.
All right then. Cool.
All right.
Anyway, I
will say this, just to quickly interject that now that we have a pause. I didn't mind the collectibles in Saints Row 4 because the movement, like the way that you move around the map in Saints Row 4 is pretty fun. Or at least I found it really fun.
Yeah,
so I
it's-
didn't find it
it's
I didn't find it much of a chore to get all the collectibles, and it's not like they're hidden.
no
Like,
that
really.
it wasn't bad.
And you
It
get
seems-
the collectible finder as well.
Yeah, Saints Row isn't too bad about it, but at least the collectibles there do something, right? If you need them to upgrade,
Yeah.
or am I mistaken? Because
Yeah,
it's been a
you
while since I
upgrade
played
your
the game.
superpowers with them.
Right, but in Far Cry 3, just to name
They do
any
nothing.
game, because that was what I was talking about. There's like these totem thingies that you need to find, these relics. They give a little bit of XP and that's it. And if someone told me why I had to get these things, I'd be like, okay, maybe it might motivate me to do that. But they were just there. They were just there.
Right,
Why would I go through all that trouble finding a hidden room where there's a collectible that will give me 200 XP when I'm already max level? I mean,
For gamer score, I'd imagine.
but that's the thing. That's the thing. You only needed half of them for the achievement. So I got half of them, and then I stopped.
And yeah, you just yeah. I mean, even like if you're gonna do something like that, like where it doesn't give you like any kind of in-game bonus or, unlock anything that, either makes the game easier or just give you like an extra, character customization option or whatever, like at least just, have like a little bit of lore tied to each
Yeah,
collectible.
give us a reason why we're doing it. That's
Not
it.
just because they're there.
Because I think that collectibles are pretty easy to program, or by pretty easy I mean relatively easy to program. So I feel that programmers or game designers put it in the game just to artificially stretch out the duration that you can spend on a game.
Yeah,
Like
because
especially
like you say,
open
they
world.
can say
Especially open world
Yeah.
games where you have your storyline, which is, let's say, 20 hours, and then you have 10 hours, 15 hours, maybe even 20 hours of gathering collectibles, which is kind of sad because you did all the interesting stuff. Now is all the boring stuff, which is
Yeah.
just collecting.
Yeah.
And I get why some developers do that. They might want to say like, all right, we create this awesome fucking magnificent world, right? But the
Yeah,
story
so it gives
doesn't
people
take
an
you
incentive
everywhere.
to explore it.
To go to certain places and find the collectibles. I can get that. But at least put in a little bit of effort and give us a reason to, even if it's just a
Yeah,
stupid
yeah.
reason, even if it's like, yeah, you'll get some extra money for this, or you'll get extra XP that you can spend on whatever, or we're gonna tell you a little bit about whatever world you're in. Fine, that's something, that's anything. It's better than
Yeah.
nothing.
It's better than just an achievement, because then you're just doing it because you're just like, if you're an achievement perfectionist, you're just like, I'm only doing this because I want an achievement.
Yeah, and then you're only
Rather
doing
than like,
and if you're doing it, you're probably like, oh fuck, I hate this. Why did they put? That's been my case many a time when I'm doing collectibles, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my life getting these things in? I mean, they're not telling me anything about this world. They're not giving me any rewards necessarily.
Yeah.
They're just there for an achievement. I'm like, why?
they're
It's
just
terrible.
busy work.
Yep.
But I don't know. There's really, I don't think there's much that's gonna change about collectibles. I think we're gonna keep getting games with collectibles that are good, games with collectibles that are not so good.
I'm
you
not
know.
saying that collectibles are bad. It's just the way that they've been implemented lately is not great, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
For
like,
instance, if there's a collectible, for instance, an achievement, collect 10 audio logs, right? Or collect all the audio logs. I'm like, okay, these audio logs, they tell me something about the story, they tell me something about the world. They give me some background information, which can make the story a little bit more interesting. Those I don't mind. The mindless collectibles that you just put in there because you want to make the game longer and you don't frame them, you don't provide any context for them. I'm like, you know what?
yeah,
Fuck you. Fuck those collectibles.
yeah. I mean, like, a great example of like good collectibles is the skulls and the terminals from Halo. Like the skulls,
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
they give you an option to make the game harder, or just add something to the game, and then the terminals give you a bit of lore, background, whatever, and you get achievements as well if you collect them all.
Yeah.
So
Those are good.
It's win-win.
Good collectibles. It's win-win. It's
And-
good for everyone.
And they also, I mean, also this is just because it's a first-person shooter, not an open-world game. But also, if you as you're going through the game for maybe the first time, but you also look up, the locations or whatever of all of these collectibles, it's only going to add like maybe at max 2 hours to your gameplay time, which
Yeah,
is quite good. You're not having to spend hours and hours and hours trying to get all these collectibles.
And usually when you play a shooter, they're relatively linear, and the collectibles are
Yeah.
usually not on the way. So it's kind of nice to explore a little bit. You know, even if you know that there are collectibles in the game, you might think like, okay, I'm gonna keep my eye open, and instead of going straight ahead where I have to go, there's a door on the left here. Maybe if I go in there, I'll find something interesting.
Yeah,
which
it
is
gave
which is nice because,
it gets you to explore more.
and that's a good thing, but you have to do it in moderation. There's a fine line, and it's hard to balance on it, but it's important to do that. Same reason that I think a story is very important in any game, a good story, because many games, the story isn't that great in many games. When I'm completely honest, I don't know why, but usually it's like, this doesn't make sense. There's a gap here. These questions haven't been answered. It's hit or miss stories. They can be really good. You can have really good stories. Mass Effect, for example, has really awesome story. Knights of the Old Republic has a amazing story, but you can also have pretty shit stories that I wouldn't even consider stories. So
Call of Duty springs to mind, amongst other things.
yeah, Call of Duty, it's your generic, there's a bad guy and he has an army and fucking kill his ass. I mean, it's the stories in Call of Duty are weird. Like
Yeah.
Advanced Warfare, the story is so wacky in my opinion. I'm like, this story doesn't make any sense, and it's totally predictable, which is even worse. You're like, oh yeah. That guy's gonna be the bad guy, and you know it from the beginning. Like, even plot twists like that, like, oh no, he turned out to be the bad guy. Oh no! I'm like, yeah, I saw that coming. That was obvious.
Doesn't come as a surprise.
It was painfully clear
then
when you
again,
introduced him.
You know, then again, Call of Duty isn't a very story-focused game. So, you know,
no, not at all.
I'm not saying it gets away with having a shitty story, but obviously it's clear that the bulk of the focus of the development time is, you know, aimed towards the multiplayer aspect of the game rather than
but
the
then I
story.
don't understand why they don't. For instance, I respected Titanfall for this, but not completely, because they didn't completely ditch the campaign. But when they were gonna release, or when they announced it, they said it's not gonna have a story, and there were many people like, oh, it's not gonna have a story, whoa, it's gonna be the worst game ever, whatever. I'm like, I didn't play that game for the story. I was perfectly fine for it being a totally multiplayer only game. And the thing is, I also admit, I only bought it for a reduced price. It wasn't full retail, because it was 65 euros or $60 or whatever. Full retail, I probably would have been a little bit pissed as well. But I have no problem with a multiplayer, no campaign game if it's priced right and if the content that they have is good. That's it. That's all I'm asking. Good quality content that I can enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I think like it would, you know, like be an idea like for you know, Call of Duty, rather than having, is it 2 or is it 3 studios now that make Call of Duties?
It's 3. It's Sledgehammer,
3.
Infinity,
Sledgehammer,
and Treyarch.
Right, yeah. So instead of having these 3 companies or studios, you know, just like pumping out, you know, like game after game after game that are really just kind of the same multiplayer with a shit story, like, why not have, you know, produce maybe one every 2 years a sole multiplayer game, and then have like another studio working on a solely single player like or not single player necessarily, but like a solely campaign based Call of Duty game, and actually put time and effort into the campaign, like the story, to make sure it's not.
But that's not a bad idea, to be honest. That what they could do is, because they have 3 studios working on the IP, what they could do is say like, all right, one studio is mainly only going to do single player, and they'll make a good quality story, good quality single player every 2 or every 3 years. And then you just offer that as DLC for the last one. Might be expensive DLC, it might be full retail price, sure, but if you have a good story, if you have enough content in there, content that's good, diverse, fun to do, then people are willing to pay for that. People are definitely willing to pay for a good story.
Or what might be, an idea is the same kind of thing, but with the story, instead of releasing a story-based Call of Duty every 2 or whatever years, why not just switch it up to an episodic-based thing? Maybe not as short as like other episodic-based games like The Walking Dead or whatever. Maybe like 4 or 5 hour games or episodes, and you have maybe a few of them spread between 2 years or something. And then you have like another studio or another 2 studios working on like the big multiplayer part, or something like that.
It reminds me a lot about Spartan Ops from Halo 4.
Yeah,
because you start with 5 episodes, I think, and then they released 5 more, and then another 5 more, or whatever. There were a lot of Spartan Ops episodes, but most of them I didn't play because the quality of them wasn't that amazing, and there was a lot of rehash of the places that you've already been to. But in concept,
I know exactly what you mean.
The concept of releasing story separately on a regular basis could have been
free as well.
And it was free. That's why it might have not been that good of a quality, because they literally get nothing when they put it out.
It's free, and also the time frame that they have to work on it probably wasn't the longest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a really good idea. Because it kind of gives more, like, to the story. You get more story, but also, it's not, they don't have to release an entire new game.
It's also a little bit like well, not a little bit, but like GTA 5 first launched only story for the first 2 weeks. You couldn't go online, which is pretty similar, because you force players to play your story before they can go online. But you can do it in reverse as well. I don't see why you can't just start with the online experience and then add a story for the people who are interested in it. Why not? I don't know. I don't know why people do something like that, because to be honest, if a shooter is, for instance, Titanfall didn't launch with it launched with a campaign, but it wasn't supposed to, I think. When they announced it, they said they weren't going to do a campaign. If they said we're not going to do campaign, I would have been fine with that. If they said, all right, we have made a campaign, it's going to cost you 20 euros, and if I see if it's a good campaign, if people are positive about it, then I'm like, I'll buy your campaign. Sure, why not? No problem with that. It's something. I think it's something that a step that you have to be willing to take, because more and more games, especially like with the rise of early access games are getting released before they're finished, more or less, right?
Yeah.
You have the alphas and the betas. People still play them. People still enjoy them. So I don't understand why you can't say like, all right, let's say it will take us 2 years to develop this game. We'll spend the first year and a half developing the core, all the assets, all the sound design, the engine, the basics of the gameplay, and then we're gonna do that the first year, and then in the second year, the first 6 months, you're gonna do, for instance, the story. You're gonna release that as an individual piece of content, and then later on sell the other part of the game as well. No problem with that. The thing that they can do is sell, because Hitman does that right now. They sell like a part of their story for I think full retail price, and then you're gonna get the rest of the story parts when they're done or whatever. That's not how you should go about, but just say, this is the multiplayer, you can get it, this is it completely. We're gonna release a story, or we're gonna sell a story in 6 months. Buy it if you like it, and if you don't want it, then don't buy it.
Yeah,
That would be
I
my
think
ideal.
it's a good idea, but I think the problem it would fall in is like both parts would they would sell it for full price. You know.
I don't know if you can make a deal with them, do not sell that full retail, that's one thing. Also, if you put it on marketplaces, Xbox Live Marketplace or the PlayStation Plus Marketplace stuff, if you put it on there for like 30 and retailers are going to sell it for 60, people are not going to buy retail. I mean, let's be fair here.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. So, I mean, developers
Yeah,
have the
I
power
guess.
to do this.
I think the reason that like Call of Duty doesn't, go back to that as an example is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I
And
mean, their current
a
model,
lot of money.
Yeah, their current model like earns them a lot of money right now, and I until it stops earning them as much money, until they see it a substantial decline, then they're just gonna keep going because it's working for them. So, why change it?
It's true, and the problem is that they have little competition in their market, because what are the other big shooter games? You've got Call of Duty, you've got Halo, but Halo is sci-fi, it's different, so I wouldn't
it's
say
not.
that it's different, because if you
It's
play
not really
Halo,
a competitor.
no, because it works completely different. In Halo, you have the shields. So if you play multiplayer, you first have to take down the shields, and then you can kill the guy, whatever. That's not the way it is in Call of Duty. Call of Duty, headshot, and bam, your enemy is dead, right? So Halo is not
It's
what
a
I would
different
say.
style of play.
Yeah, and I think people either like it or they dislike it, and that's it. They're not in each other's markets. If you like Halo, then you're gonna play Halo. If you like Call of Duty, then you're gonna play Call of Duty. I, for instance, not a big fan of Halo Online, except for SWAT, which is the most Call of Duty like you can get the game.
Yeah,
So
I don't
get
know.
it.
I quite like Halo multiplayer, but that's just me. I mean, I haven't played.
It's not bad, but it's
the
just not.
the
I
newest
played a lot of
multiplayer. I
Reach.
played 4. Yeah, Reach
Alright,
multiplayer was alright.
I really liked Reach, but that was more because it was the first Xbox 360 game that we had, so that might have something to do with it. But I don't think Call of Duty has that much competition. Maybe Battlefield, but Battlefield's different because the maps are way more open. The battles are way longer. It's not as fast paced as Call of Duty's, so it's also sort of different.
It's also different. Like you either gonna like Battlefield or you're gonna like Call of Duty. It's not like which one am I gonna buy, and they're gonna have to compete for like to steal each other's market because they're different, like even though they're both kind of realistic military shooters, the multiplayer at least is a different style of play.
Yeah,
So,
and they have their loyal fans as well. I mean,
that as well.
if you play a lot of Call of Duty, you're like, oh, Battlefield sucks, and if you play a lot of Battlefield, you're like, oh, Call of Duty sucks. I mean, they have their fans. That's a given. But I don't think that they're too competitive with each other. The only game that I could really see as a competitor to Call of Duty was Titanfall. basically because it was made by the same people who made Call of Duty in the first place. So it was
Yeah.
very similar. And to be honest, I like Titanfall way more than I like Advanced Warfare, to be honest. Titanfall is way more my thing.
I've never
So-
played Titanfall, so
It's
I
a fun
can't
game.
comment.
It's
But it looked fun when like what I've seen of it. It looks quite a fun, fast-paced game.
it is. It's really fun, and the Titans really give this game an edge. To be honest, I really like you're wrecking shit. You've killed a couple of grunts, and you get points so you can call in your Titan, and then suddenly you're in a big ass robot fighting against other big ass robots. I like that. It's fun. It's fun to do. But
Yeah.
it's the fact that you could also like double jump, climb up on things, wall run, really made the
Yeah.
game so much
I think
more
that was
fast-paced.
like I I would say like one of the like first pieces of like decent innovation in like shooters for a long time. Like adding parkour to it, because before that, like what innovations in shooters was there really?
Not much, I think. No, most games were
Yeah.
pretty
it,
much the
it's all kind of
same.
the same thing, yeah. I mean, I guess you did move from like health packs to, regenerating health. You maybe had like stuff like, you can now crouch or, go prone or,
But those aren't big
stuff like
changes,
that. Yeah.
They're small. It's
The only
you can
thing I
compare
think
that-
of
You can.
is,
I think you can compare that. Yeah.
sorry. The only thing I think of is maybe like vehicles, in shooters and destructible environments, which both are kind of applicable to Battlefield. But even then,
Yeah,
it's
but
not as big
Battlefield
a
has
thing
had
as
vehicles. Yeah.
like
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what I was gonna say. I guess they neither of those really change. I mean, I haven't played Titanfall, just from like what I can imagine how it changes the gameplay of a shooter. But like the destructible environments and vehicles don't really change it up that much from
No,
like,
they just give you a little bit more variation, but
Yeah.
it doesn't.
whereas like
Oh, yeah.
parkour, like it looks like it makes the game a lot more fast paced.
It definitely does.
It seems to make like matches more like, instead of focused on just like one dimensional, or where everyone's on the ground pretty much, to might have people like jumping like up buildings and through windows and stuff.
It,
So
it
adds...
it does add something to the game. It really does. And when you compare, that kind of innovation with the rest of shooters, it's all the same. It's all the same. And with that, you add like this extra dimension to it. I really liked it. It gave you something more. Not only did it give you like the movability of being able to climb and wall run, but it also added Titans, which I guess you can argue are vehicles, but you put them on such a small map and in such big numbers that it feels completely different. Because if the difference between, for instance, playing a Battlefield game and driving a tank, usually there's 2 tanks on each side, maybe, right? 2, 3 tanks, maybe a plane and a helicopter. That's usually it, right? But in Titanfall, you can have up to 6 Titans on each goddamn side, so it can get pretty fucking hectic.
Yeah, and in like in a small map, whereas Battlefield, you've got 6 tanks total, and a huge map. So yeah, it's different. Which I guess does add a little. It gives it a kind of. I guess it makes it fresh. I'm not sure if that's the right word.
Yeah, it's yeah. If you play the game,
it was
for
a
the first
good
time,
idea.
I do. It was a good idea. It was well executed, but I guess, and this is where I'm just speculating, they basically got out competitive by that's not even a word. They got Call of Duty was too big to take it down.
Right, yeah.
In the way that they did, or at least in the way that they tried. If I think there's gonna be a sequel, many people claim that Titanfall was a good game. Many people still think that it was a good game. There are problems with it, just like any other game. I've seen critiques like there's not enough maps, or the maps aren't, as memorable, or there should have been a campaign, or whatever. Fine, those are all valid stuff, but
yeah,
when you look at the core gameplay, it was good. It was actually really good, and if it can keep this up for maybe 1 or 2 more generations, because Call of Duty is in a decline, I think it could possibly.
I would say so.
Yeah, probably, because in Advanced Warfare,
it could have a shot overtaken.
And even if you take a look at the settings, Advanced Warfare goes like into the future with ecto suits, which allows you to double jump and stuff. So I think it's kind of moving in the same direction.
I wonder where they got that idea from.
Yeah. And then it's going to be who does it better. And it might be Titanfall, it might be Call of Duty, but I'm hoping on Titanfall.
I guess we'll see. Yeah. I think we could do with a new big shooter. Because there's not really like any. I mean, like you say, it's Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, and then you might have like the odd. I mean, there was a few years ago there was Homefront, and you might have the odd kind of. Excuse me. The odd shooter that comes out, but it's never really great. So yeah,
I'm hoping that Battlefront does something, or does the things that it's gonna do, that it does it well. Because if Battlefront can be a good game, it might actually do a little bit of damage to Call of Duty. I don't know. It's just I hope so. I hope that. I haven't watched. I don't want to see like. I don't want to see the developers of the Call of Duty games go down. I just want developers to know that we don't want to play the same game, but in a different jacket every single year. We don't want that. We want a little bit of variation, and I think that's why a lot of people are hyped about Battlefront, because many people haven't played Battlefront in years. The last one, Battlefront 2, was released, I don't know, a decade ago. That might be a little bit long. No,
I think
2000.
I will Google it right now.
Yeah, I'll Google it as well, because I think it's 2000 and I think 2006. I'm gonna say Battlefront 2 is 2006.
I thought it was in the double digits.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a 2005 first and third person shooter video game. I was off by a year.
I was off by 5.
And then the original one was 2004.
I never played the original, but
I did, but it's been a long time since I played it. Battlefront 1 was pretty sweet, but then in Battlefront 2 they added like the heroes that you still have in Battlefront whatever. I think it's just going to be called Battlefront. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's just called Battlefront.
You had those heroes, Jedis or
Sith. Yeah.
Or even you had like Boba Fett that you could play with, which was
I will
fucking
say,
nice. And then you had the space.
when I said
battles.
I never played the original, I meant like I never played the first Battlefront.
Yeah, I figured what you meant.
Okay, right. I wasn't
Battlefront
sure if you
2.
were explaining. I wasn't sure if you were explaining it for my benefit or for whoever's
For
the audience's
for whoever's-
benefit.
it's been over 10 years
Yeah.
since that game was released. People might not remember
Well-
how and when.
I don't know, because like anyone you talk to is gonna say that it was an amazing game. So, you know,
I think that anyone who says that it was an amazing game really, really needs to go back and replay it, because
I have went back and replayed it, and it's still pretty good.
it's
I
I'm not
I
saying
would
it's gotten bad, but people, for instance, what bothers me is that people were like, "Oh, there's no space battles in the new Battlefront, what it was in Battlefront 2, and they were awesome." And I'm like, have you played the space battles in Battlefront 2? They weren't that great, to be honest.
the
Those
space
were my
battles were
least-
okay, but they were only and
They
like
were not great.
they were only decent if you were like playing against someone, like an actual human player.
Yeah, but the problem is that you have this giant playing field, space. There's one ship that you can enter, or two, yours and the enemies. You have to go inside to destroy it. And there's almost no fighters. If you can fly through space and you're like, oh, there's a guy, and that's it. What you'd expect from that is incredible dogfighting, a lot of lasers everywhere, people crashing into each other, all that stuff. But there was just 3 planes and then a dropship or whatever.
I mean,
that's not fun.
From what I remember, and this could be wrong, but I seem to remember like there was a decent amount of like if you wanted to, you could get into some pretty decent dogfights even with the AI, and if you play online, like definitely like the space battles are pretty spectacular online. But yeah, they like the space battles definitely weren't my favorite part.
I just
and
remember
honestly-
that when you got to the hangar of those spaceships, that there was just a couple of ships there usually. Not
Yeah.
enough. I mean, if you look at Star Wars, we're not talking about a couple of spaceships fighting each other. We're talking about hundreds, thousands of spaceships, fighters
But-
fighting each other.
It's PS2, so
I
they
get
were
it's-
probably limited in what they could do. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I mean, and if
I
I'm being
know-
honest,
I know what
if
they're
I'm-
going for, but you have to be honest that
yeah.
it wasn't that great, and it, you can see that, and you're like, I know what the developers were thinking, and if maybe in 10 years or so they can do it, but right now it's not just there yet. If for instance, do you know the game War Thunder? That's
I'm
like,
familiar. Yeah. I've played.
I think that would be a better suited kind of game for like space combat.
Yeah,
like War
like if
Thunder does.
if they what they could do is they could bring out a game like War Thunder, like multiplayer only, but for like space battles, like as a kind of like spin-off or expansion or whatever of Battlefront. Like that would be pretty cool. Like with like today's like online capabilities and like hardware power, like
It should be possible.
you could have some pretty amazing like space battles with like not just like one ship or like one or two ships you can enter, but like maybe like 3 on each side, plus the smaller like frigates that you had to destroy, and like 30 fighters or like 30 human players on each side, with like
It would be cool. It would be cool if they actually did that.
But
Have you ever played Republic Commando? Star Wars Republic Commando?
I think I've played a bit of it, but not much.
Because that is, in my opinion, one of the best Star Wars shooter games that you can find out there. It is a very, very fun game to play because Battlefront 2 didn't really have that. The campaign wasn't that great. I don't remember it being like, oh my god, this is amazing. But when I played,
it was all right.
It was all right, but I remember it just being like the battles, doing like the battles, and then a sort of rush kind of thing, like, oh, now you got to destroy this or take this point, then continue and take this point. It wasn't really, and there wasn't much of a narrative in it. It always was before or after the mission, not during it. I could be completely wrong. It's been years since I played this.
Yeah, no. You're right. Yeah, it was like a little bit before, and then maybe like a little bit after each mission, but there was like nothing in the mission.
But when I think back of Republic Command, I remember like, damn, that was a fucking good game. A really, really fun game to play. It wasn't always as easy, and the story was good, but there were some things that you were like, it could have been a little. If the game had been a little bit bigger, then it would have been even better, because then they could have really fully realized the story. But it was such a good game. If you're a fan of Star Wars, that's a game that you definitely need to play. If you're a fan of Star Wars and a fan of shooters, because it's really fun. It's super fun, and you fight a lot of different kind of enemies, and it's all in all a very, very fun game to play, but also pretty old, I think. Also at least 10 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, I think it is pretty old. But
let's see if I can.
Going back to you saying like people complaining about like taking out space battles, they were like, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, they replaced them, or they are replacing them with in-atmosphere battles. Is that correct?
Yeah, but you can fly. You can fly a couple of. I don't know if you can actually find them on the map, or if it's like some sort of power up that you need to do. I'm not sure, but you can fight with. I think it's just 2 or 3 or 4 people in atmosphere, like what you had in the original Battlefront, which, now that I think about it, you didn't play. But in the original Battlefront, you also had these space battles, quote unquote. Basically, there were 2 ships, 2 TIE fighters and 2 X-Wings, or 1 TIE fighter and 1 X-Wing. I don't even remember how many. And you could fly around the atmosphere and shoot the other, stuff, and go down and fire on vehicles and all that shit. You could do that, but it wasn't that great. So if they implemented well right now, then it could still be a good thing. But I don't understand why people are complaining about it, to be honest.
I don't know. Well, I mean, okay, might not be a good, like, technically, or, I mean, I don't mean, like, technical, I mean, like, from a technical standpoint, Battlefront 2 might not be, like, a good game, but, like, I had a ton of fun playing it, so, that's why I'm excited for Battlefront. I'm just hoping they don't screw
I
up.
get what you're saying. Yeah,
I get, like, I mean, like, the space battles I didn't really like, and the campaign wasn't that great, but the instant action, where you could just choose, like, a bunch of maps and, like, what, like, game type, and then you could just play, like, all of them, and also it was, like, what was the turn-based, game mode? Galactic Conquest, yeah. That was also, like, really fun and interesting. Like, you could, like, decide, like, which planet you want to take, and then, like, you could, like, buy upgrades for, like, your unit, or your troops. I thought that was pretty good. And I just found it, like, a really fun game.
If you like that kind of, the Galactic Conquest kind of thing, you should look into what's it called? Star Wars Empire at War, I think is what it's called, and it's a real-time strategy game, and you also have this galactic map, and the planets you own, they generate cash and shit, and you can upgrade the space station and the ground forces or whatever. and then you can recruit or buy better ships, and then you can go to other systems to conquer them, and then first you have to conquer the orbit around it, and then land on the planet, and then do a small battle there. Now the land battles aren't great. They're not that fun, but the space battles are really, really cool. There's nothing more satisfying than coming in there with a fleet of Empire ships. You know, you've got a fleet of 20 ships, but you can only summon like a couple of points. You have like 20 points, and the bigger the ship, the more points it takes. So you can have maybe like three big ships, but you can also have one big ship and then a whole lot of fighters and smaller ships. It's really fun, and it also had this cinematic cam or whatever. There was a button that when you selected a unit, it started doing this cinematic view or whatever. It was It looked shitty because the graphics were really not great, but it was super fun to suddenly see your Star Destroyer firing lasers and whatever. It was super fun. It's a cool game.
It sounds pretty cool. Yeah,
and especially when you're fighting, you can pretend that you're like an actual commander, like, oh, all these ships fire on the enemy's shield generator, because the bigger ships were divided into smaller parts, so you could fire on the shield generator, the engines, a whole lot of different guns, like the ion cannons, the regular laser cannons, the hangar bay, because like Empire ships had hangar bays where they they have a couple of squadrons of fighters in there. The bigger the ships, the more squadrons they have, and you can destroy those kind of pieces to prevent them from, using them and stuff. Yes. So that was kind of cool. That
a bit more strategic than just shoot at it.
Yeah, it was a bit more strategic, and it was fun because your ships usually also had like abilities. For instance, like a tractor beam that they couldn't get too far away from you, or an ability that your shield gets weakened, those are mainly Empire ships, but they do way more damage. And then the Rebels had like an ability that they could do a sort of overshield, where their shield is twice as powerful and stuff. It was a really fun game. Too bad it's pretty old. Yeah, it's from 2007, I think.
Yeah.
I think, not sure.
That would make it 8 years. That's pretty old, yeah. 8 years. Are we done talking about Star Wars?
Yeah, sure.
I guess obligatory. We kind of have to talk about RT. We don't have to. We don't have to do anything. Sure. This is our podcast. We don't have to do anything here.
We definitely don't. We're still a fan.
Which is good, because that means we don't have to entertain anyone, and we're definitely not doing that right now. But yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be
10 minutes talking about RT or something.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely not a bad thing. Speaking of Rooster Teeth, I got my first part of my backer thing from Laser Team. I got my t-shirt and my poster. So I'm pretty fucking stoked about that, because it's been here for like a couple of days. And what they usually do here is, when there's mail, they put it just on the table in our living room. But I don't really look at it, so I noticed that there was this giant tube there. But I thought, it's not for me. And then today my brother's like, hey, you do know this is for you, right? I'm like, what? I didn't... Wait, is that? And then it was like, oh yes, that's Laser Team stuff. So that really made my day. That was really nice.
I honestly have no clue what a backer package I chose. I think
I don't remember either.
I think all I get is the digital copy when the
movie's released.
Yeah, the movie's released. I don't think I get anything else. I'm currently checking my email to see if I've got any emails about it. So we'll stall while I check my emails
So yeah,
I think
Laser Team's coming out soon.
Well, it's been shown off at a couple of locations already, so it's technically out there. They first premiered at Fantastic Fest a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago. So far, I've seen a couple of reviews or a couple of professional reviews, and they all said like, yeah, if for a first movie, it's definitely good. There are, especially they say like the beginning, some jokes fall flat, but then they get into their groove and it gets way better. And they also said if you're not a fan of RT, then you're gonna enjoy the movie. But if you're familiar with RT's work and the things that they do and the people working there, then you're definitely gonna enjoy it much more, which seems logical to me since there's so many people of RT that are in the movie, so it doesn't surprise me one bit there. But I haven't read like negative things. I haven't read like a review where someone said, "Oh, this movie was the worst movie I've ever seen." I haven't read any one of those things, so I'm happy about that.
That's quite good. I'm sure it'll be pretty decent. Hopefully,
I think so as well. I mean, from the small parts that I saw, it was good. I'm mainly concerned about the special effects. That's the only thing. I'm not so much concerned about the writing or the acting. I'm more concerned about the special effects because the Kickstarter or their Indiegogo campaign was like $2.25 million.
Yeah.
Even if they have their own budget, they still need to hire like actors and makeup and all that shit. So, all right, they'll have a budget for special effects, but it's not gonna be Star Wars special effects, you know. So, I just hope it's not too noticeable that they're special effects, or even if you notice them, that they're like, you know what, it's not that bad. I'm not gonna trip over this. So, that's the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about. And then
check. Sorry. On you go.
Have you checked your?
Oh, I was just gonna say I get like so much spam. So like I'm on page like 13, and like I've like I don't check this email like at all.
Yeah, that's your spam account mainly, probably.
Well, it's not my spam account, but like it just gets so much spam that I don't use it. So like I noticed that I've had like updates from Rooster Teeth that have been like, oh, you know, Laser Team's coming out, you know, January and blah 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 whatever. And then I got one about being a backer, talking about like I have to, or it was like last chance to update my shipping. So
but the only reason
does that mean
the that's only something that you had to do when you want to change your shipping address. So the address that you gave when you first ordered or first backed, if you wanted to change that address, you had to let them know with that kind of thing. But if it's, I mean, I assume you haven't moved. So
no, but like what I was gonna say is like I assume that means that I am sufficient backer level to be receiving some physical thing.
Yeah,
no?
Probably. I don't know if
they're
a way
asking about my address, but
I don't remember, because I don't even remember if they were gonna ship physical copies of the DVD or Blu-ray, or if they were gonna do them
I think
online.
I
don't remember.
I think those were different backer things. I think there was some.
It could be.
There was like a backer option for like you get a physical, you get like the DVD, or you could just get you can just get the digital copy when it comes out.
Yeah. I don't remember what I got. I remember that I spent about €75, something like that. Maybe 80 or 80. I don't remember. No, I think it was 85. 75 was the tier that I purchased, and then I had to pay 10 extra for shipping. And there's probably DVD in there. I think there's also a sweatshirt in there, if I'm not mistaken. There was a poster, a T-shirt. There was a lot of things in there, to be honest. But I don't remember, and I don't know if you can check it which one you bought. So that's a problem. But
I'm gonna find this.
Not gonna complain.
This could possibly be like a 4-hour podcast, just because I'm gonna spend another 2 hours trying to find this goddamn email. So yeah, like, have you been keeping up with Rooster Teeth at all?
The last 2 weeks, not as much, because my laptop broke, and that's usually what I use to game on. And the game that I'm playing right now takes way too much from my desktop that it's the only thing I can do. I can, even if I want to just browse, quickly look something up, it's not going to be quickly. It's going to take a while to just load in like a Reddit page, even something with not a lot of images. It takes a long time to load that in because it takes so much out of this PC. So the only reason that I'll follow Rooster Teeth is when I actually want to see something or when I can play the game, because I'm playing this game a lot. So it's usually 2 or 3 hours a week when I have like some time between classes that I watch a couple of videos. So mainly Let's Plays that I've been watching. So I've watched like the Halo 5 arena and co-op thing. I've watched the new mini golf, Ultra 3D mini golf that they did, which was pretty fucking funny. So I liked that. And
I still need to watch that.
3D Ultra Mini Golf is pretty sweet. I think now apparently you can make maps in the game. So Matt has been making a couple of maps for them to play. And
I was wondering how like they were
pretty
going to
sweet
switch
so
it
far.
up.
Yeah, no, it's different maps. They're all made by Matt. So that's nice. And then I think that's about it. Let me check. Let me just see if I can probably figure out which videos I watched from the thumbnail.
Yeah.
Because I really don't have that much time. And usually I still watch the patch live, which is one of the few things that I still watch live. Sometimes on the spot as well, but because I have to get up early, I really don't do that as much because, I have to get up early. But then this week I missed the patch because, the clocks changed from summer to winter, and they don't do it at the same time in the US, if I'm not mistaken. They do it at different times.
I think they just switched.
They just switched, or they're gonna.
I think it was on Halloween actually. The 30th or the 31st.
That could be. That could. I know it's like a week or two after we do it. So
us.
After the civilized world does it. So let's see. I've watched 3D Ultra Mini Golf. I've watched Fibbage 2, which was also very well.
I haven't watched that.
And then some Halo, and that's it for this week. I'm still, if I go back, I'm still like now 10 to 15 videos behind. The last full week that I saw of Let's Play was 2 weeks ago, I think. So not this week, not the week before, but the week before that one. That's the last one that I saw completely. So I've missed about 2 weeks. And then I haven't been keeping up with regular RT stuff. Either podcast I haven't watched in 3 or 4 weeks. I haven't watched Free Play at all. So that's also a bummer. Because usually what I did before is on my laptop, I usually have Twitter open. So usually if someone posts something interesting, like, oh, we did new Free Play, and I'm like, okay, click the link, and then I watch that and do something else at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Or especially with Let's Plays. So
yeah.
But eventually I'll now is like my study period because my exams are coming up. So I'm probably gonna have a little bit more free time on my hands. So I might put up a let's play or something while I study, just to
Nice.
just to kill the time a little bit.
Yeah, nice.
Hopefully,
Nice.
hopefully that'll work out.
So I figured out which what type of backer I am. I got the $25 digital supporter.
Yeah.
Which gives me a digital copy when it releases. And a 3-month sponsorship. I also got the behind the scenes shit as well. So nothing, I don't know why they were asking me for my like oh, you know, if you've changed the dress, like, you know, this is your last chance since, you know,
yeah, but it's probably
like
a mass email. It's probably a mass email for everyone in there. So yeah, I'm gonna check the I'm not gonna go through my email because that's gonna take way too long. But I'm gonna check which funding levels you have, because I probably remember which one I had.
I think I had them up. Hold on, I can bring them up. It was there is
I think I had like
there's a $75 one that gets you, or there's two. One's
sure, especially.
Yeah, well, one's the signed script, but you just get that.
That's not
you don't get all the other ones. I think you probably got the shirt.
I got the shirt and then everything before that as well, because I got the sponsorship.
Shirt, poster.
The poster I have the shirt. I got the sponsorship. I will get the Laser Team Blu-ray or DVD, I think, because it says this will ship as soon as we finish the movie, and that's $35. Then I might get a digital copy as well. I did get the behind the scenes.
You get every perk before the perk that you buy, except the standalone ones, which you got the shirt, which means you get the poster, the Blu-ray DVD, and then you'll probably get the digital supporter, and you would have got the behind-the-scenes video.
Yeah, I thought I had like a shirt as well, not a shirt, but like a sweatshirt or a hoodie, but I don't see it here. I might be mistaken.
The crew hoodie was
$250.
Yeah.
No. Okay, then it's just a shirt.
Yeah. I don't think I kept up with any of the behind the scenes stuff, which I probably should to get my money's worth.
Yeah, you probably should. It wasn't. It's usually pretty short, so that's.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take
much
time.
It's usually 2-3-minute videos, so it's not. I think there's 4 or 5 of them, so it's not gonna take too much time.
Yeah.
I just wonder the people. I mean, people that are willing to spend $10,000 on like being an executive producer or whatever. I'm just a little bit jealous of the people who, you know, who have that kind of money to burn. Yeah, absolutely. If I don't know,
if I had that kind of money, I probably wouldn't like. Unless I was like, well, I'm not gonna do anything with this $10,000. Because it's like, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool that you're listed as an executive producer, but, you know, like, if I had to choose, like, one and only one, like, I'd probably choose, like, the walk-on rule or something like that. You know, because
there's only one thing, so you... But it's an RVB, walk-on roll, or... RT podcast visit or AH for a day, I think. Those were the things that you could choose from. One of the 3, I think. And you make up to 3 visits to the Laser Team set. So maybe they're like, oh, we need an extra guy when you're there. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that if I had like $10,000 savings, then probably wouldn't do it. But if you make like $200,000 a year and you're a big RT fan and you have money in the bank, enough money in the bank, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I would definitely do that.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to just be like, hey, I'm an executive producer for a film. Suck on
And
that,
you get to
and then
meet
like
them.
the bitches, yeah, and the bitches would just roll in.
To be honest, I wouldn't care as much for the role as much as to spend time with the people making the movie.
To just get to go
That
there.
would be
yeah.
That would be the thing that I would like just spending time with Bernie and Michael and Gavin, while they're on set having a laugh, maybe playing some games and shit. That would be pretty fucking cool. That would be really, really
it'd be a pretty decent experience, yeah. But talking about like being like behind, like not keeping up that much with Rooster Teeth, I have not been keeping up, like especially like it would be bad enough, like I would be far enough behind on content if it was like if I was watching regular, because there's like so many like new shows that I'm not really interested in watching. Like Game Kids, I'm not really interested in. I haven't seen any of the Game Kids stuff.
Absolutely. I've seen like maybe
I haven't watched any
a couple of videos,
free play. Is it free play?
Free play is actually pretty decent.
I've heard good things, but I've just never got around to watching.
You should give it a go. You should absolutely give it a go, because it's also
I will at
a little
some
bit
point.
longer. It can be anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes, and there's always like a challenge in there, and it has some pretty funny challenges in there. There are a couple of episodes that I can definitely recommend.
Right.
So if there's one,
make sure to...
if there's one thing you should definitely watch that RT is on. I mean, the podcast will always be the same, more or less, just people talking.
Yeah.
Who
wants to listen to people talk for 2 hours?
I'm not saying that it's not interesting. I'm just saying you've already seen that. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
You've already seen the Let's Plays. You've already seen Achievement Hunters, other shows. You've seen most of the shorts, or what they're about, or even then. But free play is kind of new. If you should at least, if you're gonna watch something, just start with something that's still relatively new. Watch a couple of episodes and then decide whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
that's how I would do it. I mean, you know that you're probably gonna like the Let's Plays.
Yeah.
So might as well do something that you don't know if you're gonna like or not.
It's just like when I do decide to watch some content, I'm just like, I'm just kind of like, I'll watch this Let's Play or whatever. Also because like when I do watch it, it's mostly to have something like as a background. Whereas if I'm watching something new, I'm gonna kind of want to pay like full attention to it, which means I can't really like play a game. Or I wouldn't want to like play a game while I watch it, because my attention isn't completely focused on whatever. But
it's hard to, especially with Let's Plays, when you're playing a game and you're listening to something. I'm not paying much attention to what they're saying. I get the gist of it.
Yeah.
But it's still not like it's not the complete experience. But I don't have the patience to watch a 50-minute video every day and just to get that 5% extra thing out of it. I'd rather play my game and watch the video or listen to the video.
But I mean,
dual screens, man. If you got 2 screens, one for your game, one for whatever.
Which is why, like, I mean, I normally use my laptop to watch like a video or whatever, a Let's Play or whatever, and then like I can just game on my Xbox, which is, the same kind of concept, pretty much.
Yeah, it's true. The problem with me is that when I want to game on my Xbox, it's connected to a screen, but it doesn't have any boxes in the screen itself. It's an actual PC screen, and it doesn't have boxes in it, and I don't have boxes myself. So basically, I'm stuck with either fully playing a game and putting on headphones, because I can do that, or it's playing with no sound. So That's the trade-off.
Right.
So
Yeah.
every single time that we're recording, like, or the few times that we recorded gameplay footage, I've always played without any game sound on, because it's more or less impossible for me to hear
Right. Yeah.
what's coming from my PC and what's coming through my monitor. I can't
Yeah.
unless I listen to the delay stuff from the capture, but that's not
Yeah.
doable at all.
I'm kind of the same. Like, if it's like Xbox, like I normally have the sound like pretty low. Like when I'm playing games, like unless it's like a heavy story-based game, then I'll like turn the volume up a little bit.
Yeah, if you're following the story, then.
But so when we've recorded stuff, like it's the volume is low, and then I'm wearing headphones to hear you guys, so I can't hear any game audio pretty much.
Yeah.
Which
So
I'm not too bothered about.
It's not too bad, but sometimes it's pretty annoying that you can't hear the game.
Yeah, definitely.
But what are you gonna do?
But going back to Rooster Teeth, what I have been keeping up with is a handful of Let's Plays. I watched all of the Until Dawn Let's Plays as a recommendation from a friend.
I couldn't watch the last one because I didn't see what happened, but the last one was like part 7 or part 8 or whatever. It was like an hour long, and I saw people bitching about it, like, oh, they ruined it, yada yada yada, because I knew how the story played out, right?
Yeah.
Because I saw Michael stream Until Dawn on his stream.
Right.
And I knew how the story was gonna go. And then I saw like, oh, they ruined everything. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch this. I know that they're gonna fuck it up in a very short amount of time. I'm like, nah.
I honestly found that like quite. It was quite annoying from like a gamer point of view. Like, you're just like, God, that it's kind of the same thing when you like watch someone horribly play a game that you've played before, and you're like, it's that kind of frustration. But like, watching them like fuck up so spectacularly.
I get that was funny. I get that it's funny when they fuck up, but the problem is that they don't really pay attention to the game when they're playing it. And then they fuck up because they don't really know what they're doing, right? So
yeah, that I can see how like that's annoying. Yeah,
that's a little bit. If they fuck it up because they suck, that's one thing, right? But if you fuck something up because you haven't been paying attention, because you're trying to be funny or whatever, I'm like, that's
kind of frustrating.
That's a little bit annoying, because I saw in one of those parts Ryan was reading the book. Right, the book from the dead wanderer, whatever.
Yeah.
The one who hunted the Wendigo, and there was vital information in there, and they were bitching like, "Oh, put the book down, blah blah blah. You don't need that." And then I read that he was pretty pissed in the next part, because it was in the book that the Wendigo could mimic voices, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, if they just paid a little bit more attention, then they could have avoided something, which is, something that it bothers me a little bit. And I've seen them defend it like, but it wouldn't be funny or whatever, or we fucked it up in true AH fashion or whatever. I get it. But it's just when you're playing a game, especially if it's story heavy, try at least to pay a little bit of attention to the story, so that you're not completely clueless, that you're not like, what am I doing right now? I'm like, bitch, they just explained to you in a cutscene like a minute before you asked the question, but you weren't paying attention because you were being an asshole then I'm like, that's
I mean,
that's annoying. That's
normally, like, I agree, like, you're totally right, but I might just be luck or something, but like in that one instance, like I found it pretty entertaining, like how they just completely fucked up because no one like paid attention or like whatever. But For the most part, yeah, like it's quite annoying when it's just like, they're like, oh, what's going on? Like, where did this person come from? Or like, when did they explain this? And it was, literally just explained.
Yeah, I don't mind you talking over. I don't mind them talking over cutscenes at all. I mean, if in my LPs I do it as well. I talk over them, but at least I know what the story is about, because these are games that I've already played, and I give like a quick summary of what's happened or whatever, right? But because I know what's going on, I'm not doing stupid stuff. But if you haven't played a game and you're doing the story and you're doing an LP or let's play or whatever, if something is being explained, then you can either shut up, or I don't say you have to shut up, you can still talk, but make sure that you get the information that the people who create the game are trying to convey. If they say, don't go to the left, and you're not paying attention, or you're talking like, oh, what do I have to do? Didn't pay attention, and you go to the left anyway, some people might find that funny, but I find it frustrating, because the game literally told you not to do that, but because you weren't paying attention, you did it anyway. Yeah, and then some people think, oh, that's super funny because look how stupid he is. To me, it's not. It's nothing like that. It's like, you didn't pay attention. That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But,
other things I've been keeping up with, which it's not a very long list, is it's mainly a handful of Let's Plays of the last few weeks. Social Disorder, I actually watched. I don't think I've watched the newest couple of episodes of that, but I've watched a few. I really like Social Disorder.
I can't watch it. I'm one of those people that cringes themselves.
I
when
get
they
that
see
sometimes.
It. I can't.
But
that's why I can't watch like shows like The Office or whatever. Shows that make you cringe. I can't do it. I feel bad for the people there, or I feel bad for myself, or
if it's
just something
if it's
I
fictional,
can't do.
I don't mind it. Like like you say, like The Office. If it's fictional, I don't mind it. But like if it's real life, like cringe, like I'm just like, no, I can't watch this. But I don't know, for some reason, Social Disorder just works for me. I find it really funny.
But that's because it's relatively unique. It's not a prank show, because it's not that they're trying to prank people. Like, haha, surprise, you've been pranked.
It's just like which one can make the other one look the most stupid, kind of.
Yeah.
Or like do the most like, dumb stuff.
It's that do extremely stupid, humiliating stuff and involve other people in it.
Yeah, but
it's not about the other people. It's about the two protagonists, the two people who have to actually do the assignment. So I can understand. It's different from like those prank shows like that you see on TV. Oh, you've been pranked, or there's a camera. This is all just a prank. It's all for TV. It's not that. So.
I mean,
that's something.
I like it. And I haven't been keeping up with the patch. I'm keeping up with the podcast. I'm such a bad Rooster Teeth fan. I watched RVB. Obviously, RVB's finished now until next season. But I watched RVB.
Wait. Isn't Ruby coming out like this week or something?
Ruby's out, man. Ruby's episode 2.
Season 3.
Yeah, season 3 came out 2 weeks ago. Episode 2's out, I think.
Oh, I missed.
I know.
I knew it was.
I had the exact same reaction. I saw. It was a review.
I knew that it was gonna be released soon after X-Ray and Vav, like I don't know, end October or whatever, or halfway through October. But I didn't really put it together until you mentioned. Till you mentioned all of that.
Yeah. I mean, because I was going through YouTube and I saw a review for episode 1, and I was like, wait a minute, episode Ruby season 3 is out? Like, that's not supposed to come out until like for another month or something. But yeah, episode 1, I think episode 2 just came out at the weekend or whatever. But my opinion, I'm without spoiling anything, episode 1 is it's a fairly long episode. I think it's 15 plus minutes, I want to say.
Right.
It's pretty decent. There's nothing that really gives away what the season's going to be about. It's really just kind of an introduction to like, hey, new season, pretty awesome fight scene at the beginning. Is that a spoiler? I mean,
no, not really. I mean, it's Ruby.
Yeah.
I'm gonna expect fighting in the thing. So no, but I should watch it then.
Yeah, no, it's very good. It's better. I would say that like, everything about it's better. Like the animation is slightly better. The voice acting seems to be a little bit better. What they have done, and this isn't really a spoiler, but what they have done, which kind of not caught me off guard, but I was kind of surprised. I had no idea they were going to do this. They have like bits. It's kind of hard to describe how it's like implementing, but you know how it's like kind of like 3D. No, it's not 3D animation, but you know the animation style, if that makes sense,
right,
of Ruby.
Yeah.
It's not drawn. It's like models, and those
right,
models
yeah,
are animated.
3D animation, but
Is it 3D animation? Does that count as 3D animation?
It is 3D. It's because what they probably do is they build like their entire city or whatever they model it, they put the characters in there, and then they make it look like they do probably with the camera. Because you have to, if you do 3D modeling, usually you can make like a scene and you can add cameras, and then you can give the camera properties and it can move and all that shit.
All right, yeah.
So it might look like it's 2D or 2D-ish, but it's definitely 3D. It's just because of the way the camera is, probably, that it gets this specific look.
It's obviously the main animation is 3D animated, but it does have I mean, I don't want to spoil anything about it, even though, like, what I would say would be kind of obvious if you're kind of, know, like, what's going on. I'm not going to say anything, and it's going to sound really frustrating, but, it kind of cuts to, not side characters, but like background characters, if that makes sense. To kind of like,
right,
I guess, kind of like show off like these different like locations, and like, but it's like 2D drawn characters, that look more like from a traditional like anime rather than a like 3D anime.
Yeah.
So like you can definitely tell the difference, but it's just kind of weird. I did a really, really bad job at explaining it, but, like, once you watch the episode, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's kind of weird that, like, it looks like they're going for, like, a mix of, like, I guess for things that don't need to, or, like, characters that don't need to be animated, that are just, like, in the background, or, other stuff are not necessarily 3D modeled, but, like, drawn by an artist or something. But yeah, like the animation, because especially for season 2, I noticed it a lot more in season 2, but there is definitely some animation problems, like
But I think the season 2 problems were mainly problems transitioning from relatively short videos to relatively long videos. I think season 2 was at least 10 minutes each episode.
I think so, yeah.
While season 1 had
like 5
between
minute
5
episodes.
and 12 and 13 minutes. So
Yeah.
it's different. I can
Yeah,
understand that.
the transition, yeah, but like it was just something that really noticed and kind of like not put me off, but like it was just really noticeable. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure like clothes would clip like into like character,
Right,
like
yeah,
especially
yeah.
I think Ruby's cape like clipped into her like in a couple of scenes, and like movements of characters didn't seem totally right,
Yeah,
and just stuff like
I had
that.
that with Ruby a couple of times, that some things don't look right. So you know,
Yeah,
it's you can't always put your finger on it, but sometimes you're not, all right, this isn't right. This feels weird. So I get
yeah,
that. The main problem that I have with Ruby is not so much animation, because I can overlook animation problems
yeah, yeah,
relatively
yeah, yeah.
easy. But it's the story hasn't always been the best, in my opinion. Ruby has, I don't know, it has some
What?
pretty good parts, but also parts that I really don't like. You know,
See,
it's up and down. It's
yeah,
really up and down for
what it
me.
seems to me is like there's not much of a story. Like there's no. I mean, if you think about of it having like a story arc, it's like, you know, we're like, you know, 2 seasons, 2 full seasons in, and it seems like the story arc is just
Nothing is.
really just
I
become
mean,
like
they're not
nothing's
progressing towards
happened so far,
any.
really.
Yeah,
It does
that's.
seem, you know, like I said, like there's nothing really in episode 1 that gives away what the plot is going to be. There is kind of hints that things will be moving forward uh very soon.
I hope they do, because I don't know if Miles and Carrie are best suited to be writers on Ruby. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know. I'm not saying
it
that
just doesn't seem
they're
like a lot
bad,
has
but
happened, really. I mean, maybe things will pick up, like maybe like now that they've got kind of the premise of like the world, and like the whole like hunter huntress kind of like things, like that's a thing in this world, and they've
yeah,
explained
I
like
don't know.
the, you know, the whole thing
I don't
about
know.
like the
I think
dust and about like auras. So maybe like
yeah, but the
once
thing is,
they've got all that out of the
you
way,
could.
they can move on with the story. I don't know.
But the thing is, you can explain that and move on with the story at the same time. You don't have to
Yeah.
go, all right, this is how the world works, and now I'm going to tell you the story. It doesn't have to be something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know if
Yeah.
I think there's not enough of a critical eye when it comes to Ruby, when it comes to the actual script of Ruby, the actual story. Because when I think about stories, I always wonder, all right, what's the goal of this story, all right? What's your beginning? What's your middle? What's your end? What's your beginning? What are your characters? What are they doing? What's the world they're living in? What's the threat?
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
something like that. Then
it's
the threat develops, and then it comes to a conclusion. And I don't really have this kind of, you know, basic structure in their storyline. It seems very loosely connected. Maybe, I don't know. It's not that great.
I mean,
I
you
don't
know,
know.
maybe if
Maybe nobody wants to tell them that. I don't know. I can guess it's pretty difficult to work in a company like that, in a in a department that you're not part of. Let's say you work in a completely different department, that you go like, you know what, the story, the Ruby
yeah.
story isn't just my cup of tea. You know,
I
I
am
think
like,
they're missing the outsider perspective.
yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it is an anime, you know, pretty much. I mean, like, you know,
Yeah, it is. It is.
it's an anime, but it doesn't really, at least not yet anyway. But like maybe once it gets like dubbed into Japanese and such, it doesn't have like any other anime would have, you know, critics, you know, putting out like reviews and, you know, like like well acclaimed like anime critics, like reviewing it, saying, okay, this is what's good about it, this is what's not so good about it, and like such like you're saying, like there's no real like critical feedback other than the fans.
But that's the problem, I think, and that's not necessarily belonging to the fans or to critics, but I don't think there's any internal feedback. I don't think Miles ever goes like, hey, I just wrote, or Miles and Carrie go like, hey, I wrote a script about Ruby, and that they give it to someone who might not even be a fan of Ruby, right? Someone who's like, yeah, I've seen the show, but it's not high on my watch list or whatever. Someone who works there, or someone outside of the company, and they're like, yeah, I've read the script, but I don't see any motivation for these and these actions. They do this and this, but I don't see why they do this. Maybe you should explain that better. I think that they're more going like, oh, we should do this, and then they work it out. Then they go like, oh yeah, is this good? And they'll ask it to, Carrie will write something and he'll ask Miles, do you like this? And Miles going like, yeah, I like this, but I might change this and this. But there's no outside perspective. It might be useful to ask someone who's, I don't know, a critic.
Get an outside perspective.
Is not a bad idea.
But like someone even if like your other anime companies who produce anime, like if anything, if nothing else, they'll get their feedback from the critics. Whereas
true,
like I said, Ruby doesn't really have that yet. It might in the future. Also, I think the reason that maybe characters aren't like fully developed, and the stories, maybe a slight under exaggeration, but the story's taking a while to kind of get going, is because one, their budget probably isn't that high. Two, they have, I would imagine, a relatively small team working on it. Three, like again, like with a small budget and a small team, they have to put out episodes, one episode every week.
Yeah, but they're probably been working on Ruby for a longer period of time, so it's not that they're like, okay, episode 1 has to be out now, we'll start.
Yeah, but at least they've had like at most like a year.
True.
And like where others like professional studios, they'll have like maybe 2 years, and then like
yeah, they'll usually have multiple teams working on.
A big and more as well. I mean,
I get it.
I think the animators for Ruby aren't people who have been in the industry for years and years. So I'm not saying that excuses
I think,
the problems, but it kind of explains the problems.
What might be a problem, what might have been a problem as well, is that they wanted to do so much in so little time, especially in season 1, and they're stuck with it now. For instance, if it was up to me, if I were the executive producer, I would say, let's focus on Team Ruby.
Yeah.
Mainly on Team Ruby. I feel that in season 1, Team Juniper got almost as much attention as Team Ruby. That's fine. Maybe in season 3 or in season 2 when it gives them less time to develop. I'm just saying it gives them less time to develop the main characters, the main most important characters. Give them a little bit of background, give them a little bit of lore, how they think, how they feel, that they are the ones that you're focusing on, and that their story is the one that you're focusing on. Because now not only do you have the story of Team Ruby,
what might have
been
been
the story of Team Juniper and everything in between.
Been a good idea is
right?
In
that
season
might lead
1
to some problems.
Have maybe not completely take out Team Juniper completely, but have them there maybe to replace like Team Cardinal or something.
No, they should be there,
like,
less
they're
prominent.
they're there, they're one of the other teams, whatever, and even if to kind of at least tell the audience a little bit about each of Team Juniper without taking too much away from Team Ruby, have maybe some kind of conflict between the two, or something like that, and then in season 2 be like, give Team Juniper like now,
definitely a thing that
you're familiar with Team Ruby, expand on Team Juniper, and
expand on that,
because
but that's definitely if I give you 5 minutes to tell a story, are you gonna create a dozen characters, or are you gonna stick to like 4? I would stick to 4 because it's easier to tell a good, well-rounded story about 4 people in 5 minutes than it is to tell a good, well-rounded story about 12 people in 5 minutes. So I think they should have started with focusing on Team Ruby, staying small, and then expanding when they progress in the show. That's how I see it. If you take a look at Red versus Blue, it started with the 2 teams, right? And they gradually added more and more characters.
You're already familiar
that went really well because by the time they start adding newer characters,
so
you're already familiar with all the other ones. So you don't have to focus as much on developing them than on the villains, on the new villains.
Yeah, I mean, like,
so that's something that
in season 1, like, what did we have?
You gotta get your pacing right. That's
there was like so many different like arcs happening, like trying to like like, okay, these characters, like Team Ruby, Team Juniper, and then the villain, and then all this stuff's going on, but they only have then you have to explain the world and like how the world works, and
and then you have to explain the lore.
You're doing this in like how many episodes with season 1? 20, I want to say. I'm just pulling that.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
but the problem is that it was also very variable
at like
in
an
length.
hour.
So
season 1.
It's hard to.
So in season 1, you're trying to do all these things with very short episode lengths, and it just doesn't really work out that well, I don't think. But hopefully, this is quite a big hopefully, but when Miles and Carrie kind of with experience in as it progresses, the storytelling will get a little bit better. So because I'm gonna chalk it up mainly to just inexperience because probably the way I would put it is too much ambition to too little experience is kind of the problem.
Yeah, and there's no one with experience there. There's also no one with experience there to, guide them in the right direction. Because I think most of them are not experienced in producing or writing an anime. So, but I mean, they're writing, I don't know. I have a feeling it does get better. It does get better.
I haven't finished. I haven't finished season 2 of X-Ray
for X-Ray and Vav. It also gets better.
Yeah.
To be honest, I really liked X-Ray and Vav.
It seemed more like a proof of concept.
Very, fast-paced storytelling. In my opinion, it was way too fast. It probably was a proof of concept to begin with, and the story of the proof of concept wasn't the best.
Yeah.
Because the story was a lot of people, a lot of enemies, and all that shit, and lots of things happened in a short amount of time. But season 2 is way better. There are still things that I don't like, but it is way better, and it has some very good moments, some very, very good moments. So I'm actually excited to see where season 3 goes of X-Ray and Vav. The problem is they teased something at the end of the last episode, and I'm like, ugh,
I
this
haven't
really.
like I said.
And
I
if you
haven't.
watch it, then
I'll
you might share
I'll let you
or,
know when I do finish season 2
you know,
at some
disagree
point.
with me, but.
Yeah, I was surprised with
But
season 2.
it is
Like watching season
you know,
1, I was like,
it's,
yeah, it's all right, but
the
it's
ending is all right.
probably not
It's-
going to be my favorite piece of Rooster Teeth content. But after like watching season 2, I think I don't know what episode I got to, but it's good. Yeah, it's a good like little cartoon. And it doesn't, it's not like, whereas Ruby is like kind of a big project, X-Ray and Vav isn't, if that makes sense. And it works.
It's relatively small, I
know,
think,
It
even in
works.
production size and stuff.
The only
so.
issue that I have is it's mainly Gavin. His voice acting isn't the best. But that's all I'm gonna say. Which
Yeah,
it sometimes feels a little bit like wooden.
it's sometimes okay, or it's most of the time it's okay, but it's it does.
Yeah,
It
Ray
sometimes
is actually
does
pretty
feel-
good.
I do have to say that Ray is phenomenal in his role as X-Ray.
And has never done it
Ray
before.
is really good. Ray is actually really good for someone
Yeah.
who doesn't want to be a voice actor and someone who has little to no experience. He's
Yeah,
really good. I
it-
mean,
it-
his
it-
character
it's
is
it's
but,
still
you know,
very
it's-
good. Yeah.
He just
Whereas,
has to be himself. I
a
get it.
lot of
but
times
he
Gavin
still
just
does a very
sounds
good
like
job
he's
of.
just reading words off of a page. And it does kind of like break it. But, again, it's just like something that, will
Yeah.
hopefully get better
That's true.
with experience. The thing is, though, it does worry me a little bit because, I would say actual acting
Hopefully.
is harder than voice acting.
I don't know because actual acting.
I guess.
You have people that you act with usually. Usually you're talking to someone else.
Yeah, and then
and
you can
you
see
can
and
see
react
that
to
you can actually-
everyone else.
In most movies, you can visualize most
I
of the
suppose.
things, right? So if you're acting, yeah, but if you're voice acting, you're basically stuck in a voice booth where there is almost nothing. You have to read in lines, and you have to probably read every line a couple of times so they can use the best take, or in worst case scenarios, just take the best
Yeah,
parts of each line.
I suppose you
And
can't. Yeah, it's
I
different.
think it's
but
it's different. It's I'm not sure if it's more difficult, but it's definitely different.
Gavin's voice acting talent does worry me slightly for how he's going to be in Laser Team, especially if he's putting on an American accent, which in the trailers didn't sound very good. That for me might be the worst part of Laser Team. Not like enough for me to be like, oh,
Yeah, we'll
this film
see.
Sucks. Why did I pay $25 to back this? But it might just kind of bug me. Depending. Maybe not.
Yeah, I can understand that, and it's also
Yeah,
weird. There's
Yeah.
the one British guy, and they picked that
It's
one
very
to play
strange,
the redneck.
yes.
I mean, it's weird, no? It's weird to take. There's one British guy in that company, and he's the one they want
It's
to
pretty weird, yeah.
use to
But,
play
you know,
a redneck.
I guess we have to
I
just
don't know.
wait and
I don't
see
know if that was a smart idea.
what the end result is when Laser Team
It's a
comes
weird
out.
choice.
Which in January, I think, if the email did not lie to me, is when it will be out. Is that when it's out for digital backers?
Yeah,
It said
I
digital
think-
backers get it before
I think January,
anyone
yeah.
else.
I'm not sure.
So like you receive the digital copy before you receive the physical. Yeah.
But you have to be a digital. Yeah, but you definitely get a digital copy even if you
Yeah.
order the physical one, because the physical one is 35 and the digital one is 25. So you're gonna get a digital one anyway.
Yeah. That's
probably
what
gonna happen
I
is
kind of meant.
You're gonna get your
like,
digital one, and then
you receive
gonna
the
send
digital
out the
version
physical ones as
before
well.
like the
So-
physical versions go out. So I'm not sure. Like, is it January when it's in cinemas,
Yeah, probably.
or
I don't know. I don't know if it's actually
Premiere.
gonna be in cinemas.
yeah
I know it's gonna
premiere
have an
premiere
Australian
say however you want
like-
it.
premiere. So premiere, all right.
I
It depends on where
I'm
you're
I'm
from. But I don't know
fair,
if there's gonna
or
if
maybe
they're
yeah.
gonna do actual theatrical releases anywhere outside the US, and I'm not sure even. I don't think they're gonna do any theatrical releases outside the US.
I mean,
And
I
inside
get.
the US,
Would it
I'm
not?
even sure
Would
if
it
they're
not
gonna do a
depend? Like,
widespread
if it does
theatrical
well
release.
in the
I'm not
few
sure.
cinemas
I
they show it
seriously
in,
doubt it.
would that not be a possibility that they decide to show it in, like other cinemas?
Maybe. I'm not sure if they get good reviews, if they get a good, general response from, the audience
Yeah.
that actually went to the cinemas,
I
then
if
they might
they
be able
do
to, to sell it to
if
other
they do
cinemas
have
or
a
able to show it
theatrical
in other
release
cinemas.
outside of the
But
US,
I'm not sure.
unfortunately for
it'll
you,
depend.
Jasper, I don't think it will be a worldwide one. It will probably just be like UK and Australia, probably.
No.
Well, Australia's
Definitely
getting the
not.
premiere, but like I mean, like if
I think it was
we are
Australia
right,
because
and like it does
they
do well enough,
sort
and
of
then they
won.
expand it to other theaters, and then eventually, if it does well
Oh, right,
well
right.
enough,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
could maybe have a release in the UK or
it could be-
Australia or both.
It-
But who knows? Also, I was thinking about that today because
Yeah.
you know how there was the backer competition about like who would get the
yeah,
like,
and if it
the
does-
premiere. Like it was, I don't know, it just seemed to me that it was like slightly unbalanced, which I'm
Right, yeah.
pretty sure everyone already said when it happened. But I was just like, well, Australia's a much bigger place, so it was kind of obvious that they would win. Australia has a lot of people. Like,
yeah, but
you know,
Australia
but,
has a
like, compared to the
lot
U-
less people. No. If you compare Australia has I think about 24
No,
million
hold
people.
on, I'm
24,
looking up,
25
I'm
million
looking up.
people.
23.13 million.
Let me just look that up. Australia.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind.
So I was
I'm
close.
completely
I said
bullshitting.
24, 25, right?
The
So-
UK, I did not know this. UK has like over or almost 3 times as many. Yeah, almost 3 times as many people as Australia. which I guess it makes sense because a lot of Australia is just
60.
empty.
Yeah. Yeah, but going back to Australia winning, so I can understand why they want to go to Australia, but I don't understand why they would do a separate convention there, because I understand that they have a lot of Australian fans, but for many Australian fans, it's still gonna be quite far to travel. No,
Yeah.
because if you're gonna have to fly from one side of the country to the other, that's still a couple of hours flying, right? So I don't understand why they didn't do it in the UK, where they can possibly get people from the
Can
UK,
answer this
Ireland,
question, I believe.
France,
Because I'm pretty sure
the Netherlands,
someone from
Belgium,
Rooster
even
Teeth answered
Germany.
this. I'm not entirely sure, but it's because of their partnership with Hanabi. I think it's Hanabi or some kind of convention, like their partnership with a convention or people that organize a convention in Australia.
Yeah, probably.
It was just easier. Yeah, it was easier because like Hanabi's helping out, like, organize it.
Hanabi organizes
So
a couple of conventions.
it was just easier for them to do it on in Australia first, because of the help that they're getting there, and they also have a very large fan base in Australia. Whereas I guess if they moved it to the UK, they would have to do everything themselves.
Yeah, but it's yeah, that would be a problem. But the thing that bugged me the most about it was that they're like, oh yeah, but Australia, all our Australian fans are missing out or whatever was one of their arguments. I'm like, bullshit. Australia to Austin is maybe a 2-hour flight longer than Europe to Austin, so that argument is kind of invalid. And then another argument that they used was, oh, there's way more way more fans in Australia per capita. There are more Rooster Teeth fans in Australia per 100,000, something like that.
Yeah.
They weren't saying in total numbers, they were saying per, I think it was compared to the total size of Australia. There's more. Let's say they have 100,000 fans there.
Yeah.
Compared to the 24 million, it's percentage-wise bigger than 150,000 fans for 60 million. So I think that was what they were saying, like percentage-wise, more fans. But you don't have to look at the percentages. You just have to look at the total number of people in those kind of situations. It's kind of a bummer.
But I mean, like, it's not like
but
they're just gonna be like, okay,
they can do whatever they want. They're
I mean,
company,
if this RTX Australia goes badly, then they're gonna be like, well, we're clearly not ready to, branch out a convention to another country. But if it goes well, maybe not next year, maybe not the year after, but the year after that, then they might be like, okay, we think we can maybe handle branching out to the UK now. But I think the main reason was because of the partnership with Hanabi. It would be a simpler process, and then
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, I'm
because they don't have.
I'm
to
imagining
go like,
Hanabi's
going to
sort out most
yada.
of the
Hanabi
stuff.
can do that, and Hanabi has contacts there, so it's. I get it, and I don't have a problem with that, but they should have said that as the main reason. I don't like it when they say, "Oh yeah, we're doing that because we have the most fans there," or whatever. Just saying it's easier for us to do it like that, like this in this place because we have, a partnership here.
But,
people
here's
we can
hoping,
trust.
RTX
just say
UK.
it. Just say that. I'm like, all right, that's fair enough.
In a couple of years. It would be a lot better, yeah.
Yeah, but
it's quite weird. I mean, it would probably, like, if it weren't for the fact that, like,
the
I
bomb.
don't think Rooster Teeth is as big in like other European countries. Because it.
I don't think the problem is I don't have
Yeah.
access to their statistics on this part, but I don't think there are a lot of Rooster Teeth fans in Europe, in mainland Europe. The thing is, though, Europe is about 500 million people. If there is a convention in, for instance, the UK, fans might be, prepared
definitely.
to travel to the UK a little bit more readily than they're prepared to travel all the way
it's
to
pretty
the US.
cheap.
Because if I want to travel to the UK, that might cost me €200 round trip, maybe. But flying to the US is about 1,100. So you see, there's a big difference there, and I think many other European
I mean, like what I was gonna say though, like
if
it weren't for the fact that like
flying to the US
Rooster
is
Teeth isn't
extremely
really
expensive.
that popular, relatively speaking, in mainland Europe, it would probably make more sense for them to host it in like somewhere like Germany or something, or France, which is kind of more central than the UK, which is like in the corner of Europe. Yeah, but like
True, but I think that many RT fans will probably not. Many UK fans probably don't want to travel to, let's say, for instance, Berlin. I'm pretty sure that many fans of
yeah,
many
but I mean,
UK fans
it's the same.
are not
It's the
gonna
same
be
kind
able
of the
to-
flip side, though. Like
don't want to
there'll
go
be fans in
traveling
Germany
all the
who are
way to
like, well,
Germany, for instance.
fair
But
enough.
I
The
think
UK
the
is a lot
problem
closer than the US,
that
but
they're-
they still have to travel all the way over here to come to the convention. But it doesn't matter as much, because there's less.
True, but they know that RT is probably never gonna do a true convention in Germany. German fans know that they're in the minority of fans, so they know that they're gonna have to adjust to the majority. If you have, let's say, out of 100 people in Europe of RT fans, there's 75 of them that are from the UK, then it makes sense to host it in the UK. So I think that people do have, a little bit of understanding for this. But, I think the reason why they're not as popular is because they haven't done much in mainland Europe. I mean, even in the UK, I think UK culturally is a little bit different from the US more than that Australia is different
I would
from
probably say
the
so
US.
as
I think
well, yeah.
Australia and the US are more similar than the UK and the US, to be honest. So it's maybe they should do more promotional stuff in the UK, because or in the rest of Europe, that they're like in the old days go to
probably.
conventions and
I mean,
be there.
for
I'm pretty sure
for the
that
UK,
they could get spots in conventions
Comic-Con
in Europe
London.
anywhere.
You'll get a couple of people going there, and that's it, really. There's not many. But like with Australia, like especially for like,
I don't know.
What's Australia's big supernova? Like they'll like like you say, like there's a lot more similarities between US and Australia. So, Rooster Teeth sends people over to Australia like all the time. Or not all the time, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I guess.
A lot of
but
the time.
it's quite amazing that like a small company from Austin, Texas, is now, branching out worldwide, or
I guess
at least international. Yeah. Slowly take over the world.
I mean, that's the dream, right? Start small and then just do what you do it well, and then just slowly become larger and larger and larger until you are the one who can buy the smaller companies instead of the other way around. I mean, I would call myself an entrepreneur, but I would definitely, have this. I would definitely wouldn't mind being at the helm of a small company and then trying to grow and try to make these.
Well, I mean, you won't have to, because you'll be sitting on a pile of
maybe someday.
Twitch,
I'll get there.
YouTube, and podcast cash. So, yeah, we just need to get like big, like sponsors. Like if we get like Red Bull to sponsor us, and like every episode we do like one of us does like a crazy stunt, and like pouring Red Bull into Jack's ass or something. I don't know, whatever he's into.
Involving Red Bull.
And then get sponsored by like video game companies or something. Basically we just become whores and just be like, yeah, we'll give your game a 10 out of 10 on our podcast if you pay us and give us
would
free
be
copies.
Nice.
So if any video game developers are listening, I could do with a free copy of whatever you're developing.
I wouldn't go that far, but
yeah, so we should have wrapped up about an hour ago. And we didn't. What did you say? What did you say when we're at 1 minute or 1 hour and 50 minutes in? You were saying something about, we could talk about RT
we could
for 10
always,
minutes.
We could.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I was wrong. We could always go like, that's the end of the podcast.
Yeah. Or the
Here
first
is a
half is the
supplementary
Titanium
podcast
podcast,
solely
and the
about
second
RT.
half is the
Problem
Chatroom
solved.
podcast. Well, you're editing this, by the way, so
we could do that as well. We could cut it where Jack leaves. Where Jack leaves.
Well, I don't know.
Am I gonna edit this?
Because Jack isn't
This is
here,
not
so I
gonna come out
can't
for the
tell
next
him right now
3
that
weeks
he's
anyway.
editing this or
So,
editing this. But I might just make him edit
We'll
it
see.
anyway, because I made like a dick waveform there. That was a great achievement, and it happened completely by accident. But I don't know. I'll probably get Jack to edit this since he's never doing anything interesting most of the time anyway. So, fuck him, right? And Jack will be listening to this. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
This is your problem now.
He'll have to solve this problem.
Yeah, because it's
Absolutely.
great for
You hear
me
that, Jack?
because like once we finish recording, it's not my problem anymore. I don't have to deal with it like other people have to deal with the syncing and the editing and the uploading and the. Yeah, I can imagine with all the shit you have to do.
I don't mind dealing with it, but now is just a bad time.
Yeah, we
so.
probably should wrap up. Yeah, until next time, 3
exams
months
are
from now,
fun.
on episode 18.
We're gonna wrap up. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, probably.
Bye.
Which is quite funny because the last year we went
Christmas
from the
podcast.
Halloween to the Christmas episode, which is quite funny. Totally deliberate.
Continuity, yeah. Bye.